listening to Fox News.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
An official message from Medicare.
I turned 65 this year. I knew it was time to figure out Medicare, and I had questions, like when to enroll and how to enroll. So I went straight to the official source, Medicare.gov, to get the facts about Medicare. I found answers to all my questions, and I'm ready to get started. And so can you. Just go to Medicare.gov to get the real facts about Medicare.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
The extreme heat warning continues through Wednesday. Partly sunny, hot, and humid this afternoon. 99 to 100 degrees. Mostly clear. Very warm and humid overnight. 79. Wednesday, partly sunny, hot, and humid. Couple of thunderstorms, though. 94. Better on Thursday. Partly sunny. Couple of showers and storms around. 84, though, on Thursday. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
And I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Mark Reardon. Happy to be with you today. Got Big Dog Ethan back producing in the St. Louis studio. And if you want to reach me at Ryan Recker on Twitter or Ryan Recker Radio, another place on Facebook. Got a lot going on today. And, you know, yesterday I was going to talk about this briefly. It didn't make the cut, but it's back in the news again today. It's Jay Leno, who was discussing all the late night comics and the situation going on. It's tough because Jay Leno's legacy is tainted with the way the the Conan O'Brien situation played itself out, and it's not good. You can listen to Jay Leno, and the way that he brings it up, it's he spins it really well. Like the way he describes it, it's like, okay, I get it. I get what he's trying to say. And there's times when him and David Letterman went back and forth, and when they were going back and forth, you realize, okay, David Letterman was acting like the sane one, and Leno was acting kind of insane. But then there was times where Leno would tell stories like, you know, the rivalry got so bad. So, for example, I think Letterman was not feeling well. I think he had a leave of absence for a little bit. I think there was some medical issue. And Letterman's people contacted Leno and said, whatever you do, you know, I know you guys have your rivalry, but just don't bring up this on your show. It would just, if you can just do that for us, that'd be great. And Jay Leno said, no, I understand. Totally understand. Of course I won't bring this up on the show. So David Letterman comes back, and one of the first things Letterman says, you notice Leno didn't even say anything? And he's like, oh, they set me up for that. So, I mean, I understand things like that go on. So I kind of feel bad for him sometimes. And at the same time, I'm like, the Conan O'Brien stuff, Conan's the best. I love Conan O'Brien. And when Jay Leno describes what a late night talk show host should be, he's describing Conan O'Brien, which he kind of screwed over, which is not great. So it's hard to hear the Leno stuff and not have all of that in the back of my mind. So let's play a clip from Jay Leno. He said basically late night TV comedians have become too politicized. This is clip number 8.
To me, I like to think that people come to a comedy show to kind of get away from the things, you know, the pressures of life, wherever it might be. And I love political humor. Don't get me wrong, but it's just what happens is people wind up cozying too much to one side or the other. I mean, I like to bring people into the big picture. I don't understand why you would alienate one particular group, you know, or just don't do it at all. I'm not saying you have to throw your support or whatever, but just do what's funny.
Yeah, I find that when it comes to Jay Leno, he's right. And there's a few other things that are going on. So he mentioned things like, now you have to be content with half the audience because you have to give your opinion. And really, when you talk about half the audience, that's basically in a new aged era. We're more fragmented when it comes to the interests that we have. We don't really have to just rely on one of the 3-letter networks at night. We have endless amount of entertainment and choices that we can choose from when we want entertainment. We can go to YouTube and see random videos at any time of the day, any time of the night. You have all these streaming services where you can watch any movie or any television show pretty much ever made in the history of movie and cinema. And you can just do that right from your couch at any given time. And you have endless amount of comedians, endless amount of music, endless amount of whatever. All of these things play a factor into cutting away at the audiences that traditional media has, radio included. We've had to deal with it as well. I think one of the nice things radio has is the immediacy. We can be here one-on-one talking to each other, and you know that I am sitting here and, you know, it's 3:08, about to turn 3:08, and we know that we're doing this live with each other at this very second. That has a reason to be connected. But when you're watching the late night talk shows at Colbert, for example, you know, it was recorded sometimes, I don't know, months ahead of time if they're in repeats, because Colbert doesn't go 5 days a week. I mean, 5 days a week, 52 weeks of the year. He doesn't do it. And none of the late night people do. So sometimes you ever watch a rerun in syndication and they're talking Christmas and you're like, wait a minute, it's like end of July and you're talking Christmas. What are you talking about? So we're more fragmented. And on top of that, Jay Leno makes a good point. Now you're fragmenting your fragmented audience. So you already have an audience that you're trying to share with all these other eyeballs and ears. And on top of that, they want to come in and you're going to cut that in half too, which goes to show you why when you're Colbert and you compare this to Leno or Letterman back in the 90s or 2000s, compared to where it is today, if I remember correctly, the total audience size for Colbert was like 1.7 million. And they were like the top of the 3-letter networks, at least when it comes to Jimmy Fallon and Jimmy Kimmel. But if you go to like Fox News and Greg Gutfeld, I think the number's like 3 million. It's not double, but it's still a lot more. And you have 200 people working on Colbert's show, and you got about a dozen people working on Gutfeld's show. And one has more ratings than the other. Oh, yeah, and by the way, because of the staff and the size and everything else, it's $400 million deficit every year. They're losing $40 million in order to air that show. So they make a decision. And I don't know if it would have been any different if, like, say, they were down the middle. I think that CBS may have been more likely to write off the show if their main host wasn't taunting them for being stupid with money. And then one day they say, yeah, that's right, we are kind of dumb with our money. Maybe we should make a change here and cut the dead weight off of our lineup. And maybe we'll replace it with, I don't know, infomercials for something else and actually make some money, which may, all things considered, losing 40 million or gaining 40 million, I don't think they would care what's in that time slot. They would just be happy for that $80 million swing that would be going their way. One other thing I saw, and I don't know if I'm in favor of this or not. And Ethan, I was hoping I can get your comments on this, because Senator Josh Hawley has introduced a bill to provide tariff rebates to all Americans. The legislation would provide $600 rebate to almost all Americans, given how much money you make. It just has to be a certain threshold. So if you have a family of 4, that's $2,400. Basically, back during COVID, they gave a stimulus check to everyone. Josh Hawley wants to do a tariff rebate, meaning that everyone's been paying more money for tariffs, and it's been hitting your pocketbook. He said, after you've just been decimated by the Biden economy for the past 4 years, then maybe we could all use a little extra cash. Isn't this what got us in trouble with the inflation to begin with? We started giving this money out to everyone willy-nilly. We all knew during the first check that went out, it was a necessity because the government was telling you, stay home, don't work. And that hurt a lot of people, and that hurt jobs, and that hurt businesses because they weren't getting the income. So here's some money. Will help offset this. Then they did a second one, and they knew it was going to drive the inflation even further, but they did it anyway. Haven't we learned anything, Josh Hawley? Can't we? I understand that you want to do a nice thing, but we should be doing this to knock down our deficit, or excuse me, our debt as a country, the national debt. That's what we should be doing. Unless, Ethan, you've already spent that money because you're expecting it to come in, and now you owe a bookie or something. Is that possible, Ethan?
Not for me, but perhaps for other folks out there. So what specifically are you wanting to get my thoughts on, Ryan?
Do you think, okay, back when they were giving the money out during COVID, were you pretty happy? Did you do a dance when it hit the bank account?
I was a 20-year-old college student. Absolutely, I was.
What did you spend it on? Can I guess?
I don't know if I at that point, I hadn't been working. I was kind of just like, I kind of just was like, oh man, the bank account's getting a little bit dry. It was more so a relief than anything that I wasn't down to zero in the bank account.
Pizza, wings, and drinks. I'm guessing
Yes.
it was all
Yes.
three of those things,
Yep,
basically.
you basically broke down my answer. Yes.
And if there's anything left over, you were stocking up on ramen in bulk. And that's what you just sailed off the rest of the year.
Never really a big ramen guy. I was living at home, so I did still have mom's home cooking. So I never had to at that point to rely on ramen. But
no rent.
That's
you're lucky there.
I was at that point, yes.
Here's where we go. And one of the interesting things is when people bring up, oh, that Josh Hawley is such a hard right-wing conservative and he's, evil conservative industry type of material. Keep in mind, when it came to the rebates, he worked with these bills, this legislation, at least the second one around, with Bernie Sanders. So it was something that I think the right and left both agreed upon. It was something I did not agree upon on the second one. However, I did accept the money. I didn't decide to withhold it and give it back to the government like Donald Trump says you can do now, which is donate back to the national debt. All right. Whatever happens there, I just don't see this going anywhere. I think it's one of those things where he's said it a few times. It's not going to happen. If anything, you got to find a way to make things more affordable. You're not going to make things more affordable by giving away lots of money to people. You're actually going to make things actually less affordable in the long run, which we're seeing the repercussions of that right now because of that second stimulus. So you can't do it. As tempting as it is, don't fall for it. It's a trap. Don't fall for it. All right, joining us after the break is a professor emeritus at the University of Chicago. Charles Lipson is going to join us. He writes a regular column for the Spectator magazine. And one of his thoughts about the win over Ivy League universities, I'm looking forward to discussing that with him coming up after the break. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Mark Reardon on 97.1 FM Talk.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Okay, there. Now I am. Okay, on the roads this afternoon. It looks fairly typical, so if you are just wondering, am I going to be all right? It looks like you will be. And if you are headed into Illinois, we look great downtown. Really no delays as you approach the bridge. Now, westbound is starting to line up at Clayton Skinker. Westbound 70 looks great out of downtown. It's a little slow at Wentzville. We've got southbound 270 with a little bit of volume, and it's mainly on either side of Manchester. Southbound 55 slowing right at Bates in the construction zone. This report brought to you by Lakeside Renovation and Design. For over 25 years, Lakeside Renovation and Design has been St. Louis's trusted choice for transforming homes inside and out. From windows and siding to kitchens, baths, and outdoor spaces, they deliver quality craftsmanship backed by lifetime warranties. Visit lakesiderd.com to start your dream project today. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic, 3:15 at 97.1 FM Talk.
Well, the pool at the Missouri Athletic Club West has been put to use by my daughter and my wife many, many times this summer. They're taking great advantage of it, and the club is awesome. I do tend to hang out a little bit more at the West location, and the family does because we live closer to that. The legendary downtown location, there's a Clayton location that's coming. The other thing that I do as part of my membership and my inspiration with the MAC is help out with the Sports Foundation, which raises money for and recognizes a lot of achievements in the field of athletics here in the St. Louis area, with public recognition for people who have made, outstanding contributions in the field of athletics. They also have the Charitable Society for Children, which is sort of an extension of the Sports Foundation. Every year focuses on 3 different charities. This year, it's Books for STL Kids, Butterfly Kisses Alliance, and Kids Smart Tools for Learning. We're already taking nominations for next year. So if you're an MAC member and you want to find out more about any of this, you can always find out on the website, which is a great resource. The app is awesome as well. MAC-STL.org today for the Missouri Athletic Club.
Hi, my name is Christina Straight, the owner of Straight Realty, and I'm asking you, what do you want in a realtor? Do you want experience? I've been a broker for over 21 years. Do you want to know how much I've sold? I've sold over $500 million, yes, $1 billion with a B, in sales. Do you want value? I now list properties for only 2%. So, if you're looking for all these things and want the best, then call me 314-441-4444. Why pay more than 2? You can also listen to my podcast on my website, straightrealty.com.
Commissions are not regulated and negotiable. Straight Realty is a licensed broker in the state of Missouri.
Mark Cox here. Join me, Annie Fry, and Mark Reardon, along with Bob and Tammy Kershaw of the Retirement Advisory Group for the next Protecting Your Retirement educational event. It's Tuesday, August 5th at the Frontenac Hilton at 6:30. Here are Bob and Tammy with more.
Are you nearing retirement or already retired? Do you have your personalized income plan in place? Would you like to learn why linking to the market is much safer than owning the market, and how in 39 years we have never lost a penny of our clients' money?
Would you like to learn how to automatically lock in your market gains every year without having to sell? Did you also know if you're 59 and a half or older, you can roll over your company retirement plan tax-free to protect your nest egg from any future losses? You'll get all the answers and more. If you're 59 and a half or older, you cannot afford to miss this event.
Protect your retirement nest egg and join the official financial advisors of my show, Bob and Tammy Kershaw, at the Frontenac Hilton, Tuesday, August 5th at 6:30. Go to retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
Hi, this is Steve Butts with the Crawford Butts Insurance Agency. I know we're all experiencing sticker shock when you get your insurance premium. Now more than ever, you need an independent insurance agent to find the best value for your family's insurance needs. Crawford Butts, family owned and operated for more than 60 years. Please give us a call at 314-752-2500 or at crawfordbutts.com.
Built on backbone, not buzzwords. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
And welcome back to the show. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Mark Reardon. We have the video feed up. It is live if you want to go watch us on there. If you want to find me on Twitter at Ryan Recker. Joining us now is a professor emeritus at the University of Chicago. He writes a regular article for the Spectator magazine, Real Clear Politics, among others. Charles Lipson, thank you so much for joining us.
Truly my pleasure.
One of your latest articles, the Telegraph there, was at Columbia, Trump has won a major victory for Western values. So let's talk about college campuses, the way they sit today. College kids, they're not back to campus. Do you think much is going to change by the time they step onto the campus here in about a month? Or do you think it's going to be business as usual and we'll see how the universities react to it?
I think it's going to be change. There will be changes, but I think you've nailed the key to it, which is how will university administrators react to it? The humanities, the English department, the history department, and so forth, and what I'd call the soft social sciences like anthropology, as opposed to the more mathematical social sciences. The humanities and soft social sciences are really very far left now, and they will resist anything that administrators do to prevent all this anti-Semitism and repression of free speech. But my sense is that not only will the Department of Education in the Trump administration under Linda McMahon, will they push back hard, but that the settlements that you're beginning to see at Columbia, and I think you'll see at other Ivy League schools, really will get the attention of senior administrators.
Can I tell you a trend in college I didn't recognize until, I don't know, about 2 decades later? When I was going to school, this would have been in the early 2000s, we had certain classes where teachers, the professors rather, would say, we'll give you extra credit if you go see the speaker. And for me, for the most part, I would do all the coursework. I would do the best I could. I would rarely study for tests, but I would pay attention to everything. So I was a solid B student. So the extra credit was always very appealing to me. So I would go see all the speakers that the professors would want you to see. Well, later I thought back and I was wondering, wait a minute, the speaker they wanted us to see, and it was one after another. It was about white people are bad. And, we have to look at this, the plight of this, the plight of that. It was always like social justice speakers. And I realized, wait a minute, they were doing this on purpose. They were trying to indoctrinate me. It didn't work, but I didn't recognize it till 20 years later. And I thought, this has been going on for so long. Maybe we just didn't have a word for it.
I think that that you've nailed it. I'm going to have to mark you down, though, from a B to a C. Actually, one of the things that's happened is that you remember in the very old days, you may have seen it in the movies and so forth, there was something called a gentleman's C. That actually became a B. And at places like Harvard, I think it's on the order of over 95% of the students who major in things like gender studies get an A. And it's just, can you repeat the ideological claptrap of your teachers? This is not education. This is repetition of an ideology. And it's made worse by the fact that there's no real pushback. Students, even if they're ultimately going to come out as progressive or on the left or come out as conservative, they ought to hear different viewpoints. They ought to be exposed to the best arguments. If you only hear one side of things, how can you possibly know what a good argument sounds like?
Well, I guess for me, it was a different viewpoint. For everyone else, it was, right down the line. I remember there was one guest speaker, and I can't remember his name. I think he was a very popular Native American, and he would basically come on and talk about how white people are bad. And I remember how it was a pretty large auditorium and people were packed in there. I'm guessing there's a lot of extra credit given that night. And if someone stood up to leave, I remember he would call them racist for leaving his speech. So this would have been some of the early impressions. I remember thinking, this is kind of ridiculous, but I better not leave because I want that extra credit. And, I sat through it. But now on college campuses today, anymore, they just do that in the classroom. You don't have to go see a speaker. They just do it right there from the podium.
Exactly. I don't think that, I went to school earlier than you, but I really couldn't tell what the ideology of my teachers was. I didn't teach that way. I often had a particular viewpoint. I don't know if you'd call it ideological or not. I was teaching international politics. But I would always say, rather than try to hide my ideology, I will tell you what it is, but you should feel free to disagree with me. And not only disagree with me in class, but disagree with me on the tests that you take. Because I don't want just sheer repetition. In fact, there was one reason I didn't assign books and articles that I had written myself, because any smart student would just say, oh, I'm going to agree with the teacher, whether they actually agreed or not. By the way, I should say that the guy who you heard talking, who was a, quote, Native American, may or may not have been. There are a fair number of them who were pretending.
Because that's true. Wouldn't that be something? I can't say I did much investigating or thinking about him much until after the fact, when I started recognizing some of these things. I remember one classic.
Cowabunga, my friend.
Joining us here is Charles Lipson. And I think about, because I went to Central Michigan University, a state public university. And there was one professor I had, his name was Doug Brown. And it wasn't until, I don't know if it was my junior or senior year, it was towards the end of my college life there, where I started to realize, wait a minute, this isn't all left-wing garbage. It was one of those things that clicked all of a sudden. I remember hearing a different viewpoint for the first time on a college campus. Now, keep in mind, I was also working part-time at conservative radio stations to get experience. So I was listening to a lot of talk shows and their opinions. That had an influence on me. But at the same time, I didn't see it on the college university. In fact, I remember one time I had Sean Hannity's book on campus, and people would come up to me because they thought I was reading it as a joke. And this is back when, he was brand new, this Sean Hannity guy.
Wow.
And they always thought it was okay, you're doing it because you want to mock them in some ways. So these things, I don't know why I didn't pick up on this later. You're right. I probably was a C student and didn't realize it.
Well, Stephen Colbert actually did do that as a kind of mockery of Bill O'Reilly. That was when his show was actually funny. but on Comedy Central. But that's also one of the things that we see. I actually on campus, I want to say that on campus, I wouldn't say that it's a majority of students. I would say it's a very active minority, but that a lot of students just keep their head down. They don't want to be seen carrying a, Sean Hannity book. They don't want to be subject to the harassment that would go with it. So I just think that this is, and by the way, this doesn't start in college. It now starts in middle school. And these students come in to college having spent 4 to 6 years of this kind of indoctrination. And I just think it's wrong. It's wrong educationally, and parents don't like it. And they're voting with their feet. They're moving to different states, and they're demanding choice for their children in where they go to school.
Yeah, and even when the kids are very young, we see this in major cities. I mean, this is almost like widespread. I don't even know if it's a left or right thing. It might be just more how terrible our education system could be in the public school system. But you're looking at 3rd and 4th graders that don't know how to read yet. And we're talking a majority of them in a lot of places, and sometimes a wide majority of them. And these are the type of things you're like, okay, you can't get the fundamentals right, but this is the stuff that you're trying to introduce to them at a young age. That is just completely backwards.
I think you're exactly right. My general sense is that any institutions that don't have to compete are not very good. If your afternoon radio show is competing with all sorts of other things, not only other radio shows, but cable television and other kinds of things that people can do with their time, you have to be good, or you can't sell ads on your time, and you can't attract listeners. But schools don't have to do that. And so one of the things about school choice is not only it gives parents choice, but it forces public schools and other private schools to compete with each other.
Well, if there is some sort of, let's see, diversity quota, then you don't have to compete. You just have to be the one in that category and maybe get some money in some of these instances.
Are we seeing pushback on that? And I'll tell you, the shoe that is about to drop on that. There's been a lot of diversity admissions to medical schools. And when people find out how bad that is and how much indoctrination takes place in what should be hard sciences, they are going to be shocked.
Well, if people want to look up your work, I know it's spread out over a lot of different places, but you have it on your website. Nice little links to the articles. Where can they go?
They can go to Charles Lipson, Lipson, one word, charleslipson.com, and easily sign up. Everything is free. I'm happy to send them articles, and they're the same articles that I publish in a variety of places, but I add some subheaders, some headlines inside the article, so you can just skip through it kind of quickly or see what's important to you. And I always have my email in there so people can write back with their own viewpoints. They can agree with me or they can just be wrong.
Charles Lipson, I tell you, the time flew by. Thank you so much for talking education with me. Really appreciate it.
I enjoy it very much. Good afternoon, St. Louis.
Joining us after the break is former St. Louis County Police Chief and County Councilman Tim Fitch. I'm really interested in the Attorney General looking into Sam Page. We're going to talk to him about that coming up. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Mark Reardon, 97.1 FM Talk.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
All right, on the roads this afternoon, it's not too bad out there. If you're just headed out, westbound 70 looks great. Now, we had a little bit of a delay at Jennings Station Road, and then things open up and look fine. Little slow at Wentzville. Now, there's an accident reported eastbound 6440 before you get to Big Bend. So expect a little bit of a delay in that area. I mean, it just came down, so there's not a huge jam behind it, but I am starting to see at least a little bit of volume in that area. Other than that, like out west, we are in good shape on westbound 64. Southbound 270, slow pockets, only moderate volume, but it stretches from Olive down through Doherty Ferry, and 55 is slowing at Bates. We randomly have a jam coming off the McKinley Bridge if you're headed for 70, but we look fine if you're headed into Illinois on any of the bridges downtown. This report brought to you by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
The Martins came over, we were having spaghetti when we suddenly noticed that we started getting sweaty. So we grabbed the keys and we ate it in the van. That's what my friend said, call Jerry Kelly, man, JerryKelly.com. Give him a call even though it's late, JerryKelly.com.
You hear that? That's Mike sleeping soundly on a Sunday night. That's because Mike was smart this time. He took ZQL Ultra to fall asleep fast, stay asleep longer, and get the deeply restorative sleep he needs. So now he wakes up refreshed and ready to conquer Mondays.
Let's do this Monday.
ZQL Ultra. Not for colds, just for sleep. Really great sleep. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Some things can steal your sunshine. Ugh, I just got my hair done.
Sorry, the cooler's broken. Anyone see my flip-flops? Anyone?
But COVID-19 can steal a lot more.
I just took a COVID test. Ugh.
Prescription medications for COVID exist. If you test positive this summer, ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com/COVID-19 to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Your biggest choice in home restoration is, who do you trust with your home, your most valued asset? Few can match Banner Construction's experience and dedication to excellence. Banner is an elite preferred James Hardy contractor and Pella Window specialist. Restoration is a one-time opportunity to have Banner's design team show you architectural options to make your home the neighborhood showcase. Call for a free consultation, 314-569-1050. Now hiring qualified carpenters.
Are you nearing retirement and don't know if you have enough money saved to retire? That is scary. Do you have a written retirement financial plan in place? Well, when it comes to retirement planning, the trusted team at Financial and Tax Architects are the best. They've helped people all over St. Louis retire with confidence. And that's what you want. You want to retire with confidence. Now, they offer a one-night, 2.5-hour adult education class called Retirement Planning 101. They hold these at colleges over the St. Louis area and in Illinois. No cost, no obligation, just learning. And at this class, you learn how to avoid costly mistakes, how to maximize your income, how to reduce taxes in retirement. So call them today, 314-888-5101, or visit fta-ria.com and take the first step toward a smarter retirement. 314-888-5101.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
The time is 3:35. This time check sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
Where common sense rules the mic. 97.1 FM Talk. St. Louis Conservative.
Welcome back. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Mark Reardon. Joining us now is former St. Louis County Police Chief and a former St. Louis County Councilman, Tim Fitch. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate the time.
Good afternoon, Ryan.
What I understand, you're working private security consulting, so there's a couple of stories that came up. I'd be interested to hear your take on it. And that one brutal attack in Cincinnati, you have, I think it was like 150,000 people downtown, and you start a brawl and you see police get involved and get hurt. And it's just absolutely a mess. So what's your take on that? What were some of your first impressions? And when you have that many people concentrated in one spot, what do you even do when there's a brawl?
Well, you really need to flood it with law enforcement, visible law enforcement. It looks like Cincinnati did not do that, which allowed that to get out of hand. We saw it, how it got out of hand. But at the end of the day, I mean, you had a big group of, I guess we'll call them thugs. That's what they are when you act like that and batter somebody almost to death. That's what they are.
This is terrible. And, then you have a different incident that happens in New York. You have a dude show up with a large rifle and want to start shooting people, part of the CT scandal with NFL, and just walks in and tries to go up the elevator to meet people and just start shooting. What do you do in instances like that?
Yeah, so I'm in a construction area at the Houston airport. So if you hear a lot of noise in the background, that's what it is.
Oh, sure.
At any rate, yeah, it was really a horrible situation, but we've seen these before. I think you'll find out, or we'll find out, when the investigation continues. This person has probably some serious mental health issues that weren't being treated, and he decided to exact some revenge on probably people that he thought had done him wrong.
So when you start to analyze what could be done and you realize what you're up against in the world today, which is unpredictable people doing unpredictable things in unconventional ways, how do you even combat for those situations? How do you even prepare or even protect yourself when you're a business or an organization? I guess to me, I don't even know how you do it.
It's hard to, but they had a police officer in the lobby that confronted or was involved with this guy. I don't know if he surprised him, like ambushed him. That's what it sounds like. So that business had already taken some precautions by having a uniformed armed police officer on site. But of course, he was, I think, the first one that was shot, which is typical. And then it kind of gives them free reign of the building at that point. But that one, I would tell you that he probably had a significant amount of ammo that he did not expend. So that could have been much, much worse.
So you think that, one, if you're a guard, you're probably a target. And does that mean it's premeditated?
That's definitely true.
For the most part?
No, but you know, if you're the bad guy, you know who you have to take out first, or else that person's going to stop you from going any further. But a lot of the guards nowadays, that was a police officer. A lot of the security guards nowadays are not armed, and they'll take them out anyway.
You're talking about in places like New York and some of these other more liberal places?
All over.
Oh, that's a shame.
All over. They're not. They just do not arm their security officers because they, number one, don't want the liability if that security officer has a lot less training than a police officer uses that firearm inappropriately.
I guess that's true, but if you think about it, there's instances like, for example, I live in Michigan now, in Detroit, but Traverse City, you have a guy, a homeless guy, absolutely crazy, walks into a Walmart and starts stabbing people. And what do you have? You have an off-duty officers there. You have a Marine there, but they were carrying, and they stopped him from stabbing other people, and they kept him there until he was arrested. By the way, the guy was absolutely loony. I was listening to some things he said to the magistrate when the charges were read to him, and he's talking about, I'm no worse than the tobacco industry who puts fiberglass. He's talking about stuff like that during his court hearing. So it's not a good situation. But luckily, all those 11 people who were stabbed are going to recover. They're expecting to recover. It could have been a lot different if it wasn't just a crazy homeless guy with a gun. Could have been different.
And we see this in Europe a lot. I do a lot of travel and a lot of work in Europe. And when I do training there for employees, I don't talk about firearms. I talk about knives and vehicles. That's their method of hurting people in Europe, knives and vehicles.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, some people think the words you say hurt enough, so that should also be controlled like a gun. So you have to watch out for that. Can I get your thoughts? There were some other reports out that, and right now they're just reports. I don't even think any of this has been confirmed, that Missouri's Attorney General Andrew Bailey is looking into Sam Page. And I know that you, as a county councilman, got to look at and investigate and see a lot of things firsthand, and a lot of questions into the activities of Sam Page having a second job, for example, being one of them. What do you think about potentially looking into him? Do you think this is a good idea?
Absolutely. Clearly, he, in my opinion, spent public tax dollars to try to sway an election, and that's prohibited by law. You can't do that. And it certainly looks like that's exactly what Sam Page did. And I think that's what the investigation's about. The curious twist on that situation was that I understand that they actually seized his mobile phone, Sam Page's mobile phone. I don't know why you'd need a mobile phone for a case like that. So there might be more to this situation than we know.
Well, if I remember correctly, his mobile phone came into question once, and I think he said one of his kids used it. So there was instances of mobile phones being used in controversy with him in the past. Now, I'm going to have to go back and read the story again. I don't remember the full context, but I just remember the phone being a factor to it. So I remember you looked into other things. I mean, who knows what else they find at this point? And the thing that bothered me the most, at least as a politician, I kept thinking, why do they keep voting him in? I don't understand why this is happening over and over again.
It's pretty simple. I think it's pretty simple. St. Louis County is a heavily Democratic county now. And a lot of people don't know, and they go in and say, well, I don't really know any of these people, so I'm going to vote for the Democrat. I think that's how that keeps happening with Sam Page, at least. He's never had a formidable Democratic opponent. Well, he may this time, depending on who runs against him. And I'm sure whoever's going to run against him in the Democratic primary is going to use all this to their advantage.
Well, given your time spent on county council, I might as well ask you, and I don't know if you can answer this or not, has anyone reached out to you for information, maybe documents, things like that?
No, they have not. Not in this situation.
Okay, just curious. Who knows where this goes? And I find that it's always a wild ride, St. Louis politics. Are you happy that you're no longer involved with St. Louis politics?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I miss the people part of it. I did that for more than 30 years as a police officer and the police chief. I do miss that part about it, but not enough that I want to do it again.
Yeah. It's a lot of hassle, and you get to see the backside of things that aren't great. And you think, if only people can see the things I'm seeing right now. And you try to portray it. You've always, I thought, were very transparent and very open at the things you were looking into, and I really appreciated that as your time serving. But some people just didn't want to grab onto the truth and reality of what was going on. So now,
it's better. Yeah, it benefits them to hide it.
Yeah, it does. And I remember you had to fight for your pension and all of these other things. And it's like the government could be so lousy, lousy.
But you got to remember, when they use tax dollars to hire attorneys to fight people, they don't care. It's Sam Page doesn't care. He's using tax dollars to fight his personal battles, and he sees nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, that's not great. Not a great spot to be in. Well, you're traveling, and hopefully it's not all that stressful for you. I know it's always stressful. Well, because when I travel, I have young kids I travel with, so I got to keep them in line. Hopefully everything goes smooth with you. You said you're down in Houston?
Yeah, right now I just came back from Mexico City, but I got to stop over on the way back to St. Louis.
Ooh, that's a sweaty place.
Yeah, it was beautiful in Mexico City, though. It was like 60 degrees this morning when I left.
How's that happen? You're coming back to a heat wave in St. Louis where it's going to be 30 degrees more by the time you land in here.
Amazing.
Yeah. All right. So now you're working, as a consultant. You look at private security situations. I don't even know how this works out for you, but if you'd like to talk about your business or tell people how they can find you, that's fine. If you don't, that's fine too. I'm not sure.
Well, I certainly can. It's everything that I do is public. It's on the website, and you can just put in the Fitch Group, and that's the name of my business.
Okay. Tim Fitch, former St. Louis County Police Chief and former St. Louis County Councilman. I will say I really appreciated your time serving as a councilman. I'll say it again, you're very transparent. I thought you were always very fair. You always came on the air when we asked for something that was going on. You made yourself available. Really appreciated that about you. And still, I'm guessing your clients appreciate that about you too now. So, Tim, we appreciate your time today.
My pleasure, Ryan. Let's clean up in Wellston once again. That's the last time I think I laid eyes on you.
Is that right?
We cleaned up in Wellston. You remember the Wellston cleanup we did?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I don't even want to look back there. It was probably filled back up a month later, unfortunately.
It could be.
It's just a shame.
Yeah,
I know. All right. Well, appreciate the time, Mr. Fitch.
Ryan, take care. All righty. Bye-bye.
All right. And I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Mark Reardon. Don't go anywhere. 97.1 FM Talk.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We've got a report of an accident on eastbound 64, really close to Big Bend. If you are traveling in that area, you may, of course, encounter a delay. Looks like it's jammed back past 170 at least, if not further. And this is jammed up traffic on southbound 170. So that's jammed up at about Forest Park Parkway. Now, eastbound 70 is a little bit slow. Headed into downtown, westbound slowing at Jennings Station Road. Some moderate volume headed for the Blanchette Bridge and at Highway K. 64 westbound. Little volume right there at Clayton Skinker, and then it opens up. It's slowing again through Chesterfield Valley, but it's only moderate. Slowing again just west of N. Now, southbound 270, moderate volume, and this is south of Page. It goes down through Doherty Ferry, a little bit slow at Gravois, and then that's about it. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
A Midwestern mom from Edwardsville, Illinois, rooted in faith, grounded in family. Annie Fry brings common sense and conviction to the conversation. The Annie Fry Show, weekdays at noon on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon. Check out Michael's Flooring Outlet because and I experienced great service from Mike and his team last year with a project that we did in my home. But nothing against, as I say, the big box stores. You're not going to get someone who has decades of flooring experience to make recommendations, to say, hey, maybe you don't want to pull out all the carpeting in your basement because you have a great audio system. You may have said that to me at some point. So they're going to get you into the product that's right for your lifestyle. If you have pets, if you have kids, if you need Mohawk silky soft carpeting, they have the best quality. If you need hard flooring from Mohawk or other companies, they can guide you into whatever you might need for your budget and for your lifestyle. And they do it with a great team with 3 awesome locations. They're open every day except for Sunday. So 6 days a week in Old Town St. Peter's, great location in Darden Prairie, in West County on Olive. And the website has everything. You can even order samples from the website. IGotFloor.com. Michael's Flooring Outlet. Tell them that I sent you in.
Attention St. Louis Medicaid residents in need of care at home. If you need assistance with daily activities, you can receive in-home care from a loved one that lives with you and they get paid. Through Medicaid, Freedom Care allows you to choose who provides your care at home in St. Louis, and they get paid weekly. Available to eligible Medicaid members in St. Louis. Call now to check your eligibility. It can be your daughter, son, a close relative, or trusted friend helping you with cooking, transportation, laundry, and other activities in your own home. You get the help you need, and your caregiver gets paid. Freedom Care has over 7,000 5-star Google reviews and is a leading choice in St. Louis for in-home care. If you have Medicaid and want to receive great care from a loved one, go to freedomcare.com or for faster service, call 314-597-1749. 314-597-1749. That's 314-597-1749.
Freedom Care, we're here for you.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6986. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-6986. That's 800-575-6986.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Are you looking to hire? ZipRecruiter finds the best candidate for your job fast. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Consistently right.
It's a ritual.
97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
And I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Mark Reardon. Yeah, we talked a little bit with Tim Fitch about what happened in New York. And, man, they got the video. You can see him walking up, and it just looked like he had really no care in the world. He just had business to take care of. It was terrible. Maybe we should play some clips here, Ethan. I think this is clip number 18. The police commissioner is speaking here.
The shooter is believed to be Shane Tamora, a 27-year-old male with a Las Vegas address. The vehicle he exited is registered in Nevada to Mr. Tamora. Inside of that vehicle, officers found a rifle case with rounds, a loaded revolver, ammunition, and magazines, a backpack, and medication prescribed to Mr. Tamora.
And the police commissioner went on further about what the shooter did. This is clip number 19.
The building security camera footage shows the shooter enter the lobby, turn right, and immediately open fire on an NYPD officer. He then shoots a woman who took cover behind a pillar, where he shoots a security guard who was taking cover behind the security desk. The shooter then calls the elevator, which opens in the lobby. A female exits that elevator, and he allows her to walk past him unharmed. He goes up to the 33rd floor, which is Reardon management, and begins to walk the floor, firing rounds as he traveled. One person was struck and killed on that floor.
Mayor Eric Adams said this was targeted. This is clip number 14.
There were no indications at all that he was coming to New York to create any harm. And you will see a visible presence of our critical response teams that will be out at major shopping areas.
Did he say there was no indication he came to New York to cause harm? Did I mishear that? I thought they considered that was the reason he was there specifically for that one target. I think about the situations and the world we live in today and what would happen, but I also think about New York and some of these larger areas that almost fester this type of hatred, and why people want to leave these large metropolitan areas because they don't want to deal with this. Back when New York had charm, which was the Woody Allen years, or even I would say up until the point where people would record videos of rats dragging full slices of New York style pizza down the subway. I would say up until that point, New York still had charm, but New York was always unaffordable. But even now, you ever see some of these closets that people live in? I know, Sue, you've shown a lot of homes in your day. You ever see those videos online of people showing you rental space in New York or Manhattan?
It's like nuts.
It's $4,000 for what would be looked at as a large closet. No joke. And you have to walk down the hall to the bathroom.
Yeah, you do. It's a hot plate and like a refrigerator. That's your kitchen.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they always have like a bunk bed to take you up because you have to shove your couch underneath it.
Yeah, that does not appealing at all. But some people think that's charming. They can look out the window and see the back of another building and not the skyline. How would you like the communal bathrooms? I was lucky enough, even when I went to college, I didn't have a communal bathroom. We had them in each of our dorms, meaning 4 people would share one, as opposed to having to walk down the hall with your little flip-flops, and you had to shower with the flip-flops on.
Ugh.
And by the time you got in there, you hope it was available and someone didn't do something gross in there before you got in there. And that's why you wore the flip-flops. Don't want that. Imagine what it's like in New York City. Ugh, even worse, because people hold the door open for the homeless so they can go in and use the facilities too. And then it's not really treated the best way. They're going to tell you. But that's the type of stuff I think people want to move away from. I think they find it more appealing to get away from the crowded nature of it. Get a little, if they can afford it, get a plot of land and have neighbors that you can wave at, but you can't reach your arms out and touch from house to house. I think that's kind of what they look for. And that was looked at as old fashioned, but anymore, I think even the progressives kind of want something like that too, given the alternative of the wild world we live in today. Sue, it's good that you're back. I like seeing you in the studio there.
Oh, good.
It's very nice. It looks like you'll be doing Sue's News. I want you to know Ethan did a great job while you're gone.
Good. I count on
He better.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Because he said if he didn't, he would be afraid that you would slap him with a ruler, kind of like a nun.
This
so
is true.
he was very worried.
That's me. That's me, all right.
She tends to get pretty aggressive in the
Yes.
studios. Could you not tell based off of her soothing voice?
Right. But sometimes the cameras turn off and we don't know what happens after that. So we
It's
always
true.
have to be
This is true.
mindful. All right. So joining next hour is Sue's News. The way it was designed, Sue herself will be hosting Sue's News. And Jane Dueker is going to join us in the next hour, too. And one of the big things about Jane Dueker is I want to get her take on potential investigations that are going on in our region. So I think that's going to be important to discuss. Also, Mark Hamrick will be joining us, Bankrate Senior Economic Analyst, on what he's seen with the potential cooling of the job market. We're going to get some new numbers. All of these are important topics, and we'll all have it in the next hour. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Mark Reardon on 97.1 FM Talk. Don't go.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Looks like there is an accident on southbound 170 near Ladue Road, and this has really caused a jam behind it. Right now, it looks like it's just north of Del Mar. Now, there was an accident reported, MoDOT reporting this one, northbound 55, just before 255. But it looks like they may have moved that one off to the shoulder. So as far as slow-moving traffic goes, southbound 170 jams at the accident. Eastbound 6440 is slow, approaching Big Bend, where there was an accident as well. Southbound 270, moderate volume in pockets south of Page, down through Doherty Ferry. 44 westbound is a little slow at 270. And out west, 64 westbound, moderate volume from Highway N out through the 6470 split. And 70 itself slowing at K. Again, just moderate volume. And then as you approach the Wentzville area, we still look great if you're headed into Illinois on the bridges downtown. But 64 eastbound slows between 157 and almost 159. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic. This report brought to you by Point Within E Pest Control on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
What's the most important thing when it comes to getting your roof replaced? Honesty, because honestly, most of us don't know what it takes to replace a roof. Mark Cox here from my friends at Correll Roofing Company. Curtis Correll is a friend of mine. I've known him for many years. And when he came to my house to look at my roof, he brought back pictures and showed me where the damage was from the hail. He worked with my insurance adjuster. He made sure I understood exactly what they would be replacing on my roof. Are they putting down felt? Are they replacing any wood? What quality of shingle are you getting on your roof? These are all questions most of us don't know to ask, so you need to be able to trust the person who is doing the work for you. You can trust Curtis Correll. He's got crews with over 20 years of experience. He pays attention to detail with quality materials and workmanship. Call him at 314-222-9529. That's 314-222-9529 or Correll Roofing Co. on Facebook.
Many times here on this radio show, I have professed my ignorance about cryptocurrency. Sue and I sometimes look at each other. We might have a story in the news and then someone comes on to explain it. We're like, no, we don't get it. But I really do get it a lot better than I ever have because I met a guy by the name of Bitcoin Ben. He's a St. Louis guy. He is bringing his crypto club here to St. Louis. He's got 6 nationwide, a bunch down in Florida. The 7th Bitcoin Ben Crypto Club is coming to St. Louis, Ben's hometown. He's a truck driver who got very educated on this and passionate, and he gets emotional about it because he wants people to learn. He wants people to learn what Bitcoin is, how to buy it, how to safely store it, how to avoid scams, and how to connect with others who want to learn more about cryptocurrency. St. Louis is going to be the place of the 7th club here in Ben's hometown, and if you want to learn more, this is a great opportunity. It's confusing. I'll be honest with you. It's hard to get your arms around, but if you're interested, I want you to go to Bitcoin Ben's website, which is bitcoinben.io today, and then we'll keep you posted on all the information that's coming about the club. It's going to open here in St. Louis. Bitcoinben.io for Bitcoin Ben's Crypto Club.
KFTK FM Florissant.
An Odyssey station.
A possible motive. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. Investigators say the man who shot and killed 4 people in a Manhattan office building before killing himself blamed mental health issues on the NFL and wanted to target the league's headquarters, but took the wrong elevator.
We are learning from the Horseshoe Hotel in Las Vegas that he worked in the surveillance department there. Police believe that he drove across the country to carry out this attack. And according to New York City Mayor Eric Adams, a note was found in his pocket that mentioned his grievances against the National Football League and his belief that he had CTE, a degenerative brain disease that impacts a lot of football players.
Fox's Nate Foy, the shooter, never played in the NFL, but did play high school football and shot himself in the chest, requesting in the note that his brain be tested for CTE. The NFL commissioner who works in that Park Avenue building called the killings an unspeakable act of violence. One league employee was seriously injured and is hospitalized. Police also say they'll question a man believed to have supplied parts to assemble the gun that was used. In Massachusetts, AP just reporting that an assisted living facility where a fire killed 10 people this month lost its certification nearly a decade ago temporarily for mistreatment of residents. A key rollback is proposed at the EPA.
The Trump administration looking to launch what it calls the largest deregulatory action in the history of America, with a proposal to revoke a scientific finding, which is the cornerstone of key climate regulations, especially ones governing the auto industry. The Environmental Protection Agency rule would rescind the landmark 2009 finding, which determined that carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases endanger public health.
Fox's Lillian Wu. Opponents say the proposal denies climate reality, and environmental groups plan a challenge. But the EPA administrator argues Supreme Court rulings made clear his agency doesn't have the authority previously claimed. America is listening to Fox News.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
An official message from Medicare.
I turned 65 this year. I knew it was time to figure out Medicare, and I had questions, like when to enroll and how to enroll. So I went straight to the official source, Medicare.gov, to get the facts about Medicare. I found answers to all my questions, and I'm ready to get started. And so can you. Just go to Medicare.gov to get the real facts about Medicare.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Brutal is the weather word, but we have one more day of this before things get better. Mostly clear, warm, and humid tonight. 90s this evening, 79 for the low. Wednesday, partly sunny. It is still hot and humid. 94 degrees. We'll be watching for a couple of thunderstorms in the afternoon. Scattered showers and thunderstorms Wednesday night, 71. Thursday, 82. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts.
Point Pest Control is reminding you it's time to spray for mosquitoes. How can something that tiny interrupt your outside gatherings? Have Point Pest Control spray today so your next outside gathering is mosquito-free. 636-798-0023. Mention Annie to save an additional 10%. PointPestControl.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6986. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-6986. That's 800-575-6986.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody. Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have Leaf Filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/radio to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/radio for your free gutter inspection today. See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. One discount per household.
This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Welcome back. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Mark Reardon. What I saw a lot of backpedaling as of late. We talked about some of it yesterday and how I thought it was a good thing that Bill Maher admitted what he admitted. He said, I was wrong. I got to own it when I'm wrong. And I was wrong about the tariffs. And there actually didn't have a giant crash of the economy. I didn't think it was going to be good. But how about that? We're talking record territory for Dow and hitting records with NASDAQ and S&P. These are all good things. So next day, we see the stories about President Trump's trade policies are less damaging than expected, with the International Monetary Fund upgrading the projections of global economic growth for this year in 2026. So it's not just here in the United States, even economics, or the economy rather, and many other countries are finding themselves a little bit higher. It says the organization, which consists of 190 member countries, also projecting a 3.1% growth in 2026. That's a little bit higher than the previous forecast. So that's always good when you're moving in that direction. I think part of it is you have to find what's going to be happening next when it comes to tariffs. And our Commerce Secretary, Lutnick, was talking about this. Ethan, I think this is clip number 7. And
the European
discussing.
Union put together all of their companies, their pharmaceutical companies, their auto companies, all their businesses who made commitments to the European Union that they could then give to President Trump and said, we are committed to building in America $600 billion of additional investment.
Yeah, that's a lot. Now, if only we had American companies coming back and making those same announcements. We need more of that. I remember the last big one was General Electric. GE said they're going to come back and build more. And kind of this idea that maybe some of the auto companies would also find their way back into that would be more appealing, and not just for failed EV style factories. Oh, we got to build this battery plant here and there, and then it doesn't end up happening. It's all lies. They get the incentives, so they don't build it the way they should. What about with China? That's the next big step. This is clip number 23.
Just had a phone call from Scott Bessent, and had a very good meeting with China. And seems that, they're going to brief me tomorrow. We'll either approve it or not. But he felt very good about the meeting.
And he has been such a huge part of the Trump administration. I'll tell you that him and Marco Rubio have been true all-stars. How about President Trump? Clip number 25. More tariff talk here.
China's tough, and like you're tough. We're all tough, yes. But we're going to see what happens. These are, look, they're smart people, they're tough negotiators. They know what they want. And but we're going to be setting a tariff for essentially the rest of the world. And that's what they're going to pay if they want to do business in the United States.
Yep. But are they as tough as Kansas City Royals' Michael Garcia, who is at bat? And does the clip set this up, Ethan? I think it does, right? As it plays out.
A little bit. Yeah, it explains it a
Okay.
little bit. We can always give some context after.
All right. So this is at the Kansas City Royals' Michael Garcia. Let's take a listen.
Ryder continues to have difficulty getting his fastball down. And Michael just got stung by something. It's like a bee went into his shirt. Opening his shirt. And take that. Said, thank you very much. Yeah, take that ball. Oh, he's going for 2. And he's going to be in there.
All right. So help me with this, Ethan. He got stung, and then was he running away from the bees? And that's why he went for 2?
So it's two clips combined. So
okay.
So he gets stung by a bee. He steps out of the box. The umpire calls time. And then a couple of pitches later, he hits a double. So there were some laughs around baseball and around social media last night over that whole situation. But I tell you what, I don't know if I would have been able to get right back in the box. I hate getting stung. And I'm kind of a baby when it comes to getting stung. So I feel like I would have had a really hard time focusing after that. But I guess there's a reason that I'm not making millions of dollars in the majors either.
Wow. Where was he stung? Just
Fred?
inside the
I think
shirt?
inside of his jersey, like on his back or something. He was like pulling at his back or like his shoulder area, but it got under the jersey. That's probably the worst part because you're trying to panic to get it out, but you don't want to sting you more.
I don't think I've ever been stung by a bee, but I can remember
when my youngest son Noah was probably about 8 years old. We were at Elephant Rock State Park, and he was way down low in the rocks in the water. And he turned the corner and he was like attacked by a swarm of bees. Like 15, he had like 15 or 20 bites. And, I could hear him yelling, and, the fear a father has.
Oh,
so
sure.
I'm running as much as I can down these
Fred.
huge rocks. I was younger to get to him as quickly as I could. And then they had to put him onto like a cart and drive him up to the house area where they treat people, or they take, I guess there's also a place,
first aid area.
Yeah, first aid area. And his big thing was, it hurt, but he was so happy because he got like free ice cream.
See?
So that just made his day. So it all turned out well. But it was a shocking moment for me.
I got attacked. I was mowing a lawn when I was 12, and I mowed over a nest of ground hornets.
Oh,
yeah.
They are mean.
And I probably got stung a dozen times, and it scarred me. I hate wasps. I hate anything with a stinger. Something flies by, and I'm like a full defense mode. I hate it. I'm an absolute baby around them. So that was a little bit of PTSD
That
for me.
sounds terrible. Would they have stopped the game, the Kansas City Royals game, if there was like ground wasps coming up on the players?
Yeah,
Or they kept playing?
I think they did it at one point at one game a few years ago. They had to get a beekeeper to come and remove the nest that was up in the screen behind home plate.
Yep.
Right. Wasn't it? Weren't they just lucky there happened to be a beekeeper in the stands?
Yeah, that was crazy, but they did end up having to, pause the game because there was bees everywhere. I mean, it was impossible to play because, you're at the threat of getting stung, and then all of a sudden you got to worry about fan safety, player safety. So, crazy situation a few years ago.
I might be in the minority here, but whenever they say, "Oh yeah, you find the bees and you're supposed to relocate them," I'm kill them all.
No,
Get rid of them
you have
all.
to relocate the bees.
Get out of here. They're done. And the wasps, you see what people do now? If they find a wasp nest, they basically get a tub of gasoline and they put it over the nest.
Now that's
okay.
Wasps are the scum
fumes
of the
kill 'em.
earth. They serve
pretty bad
no
too.
purpose in this world. Wasps and hornets, but bees, a little bit of a different
Bees
story.
are good.
Bees are good. Bees are good too.
But they're goners if they're around me. If there's a bee, it's over.
Yeah,
There's
but
no
if you kill
relocation
one,
plan.
aren't you worried about getting attacked by more?
Then I guess I have to kill more, then don't I? All right, we're going to do Sue's News after the break. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in 97.1 FM Talk.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
All right, on the roads, first of all, they say wasps are natural pest controllers and pollinators. I'm not saying I'd set them on fire,
Kill
but they're
'em all.
not my favorite. All right, on the roads, we had an accident on southbound 170, and it was really close to Ladue Road, but they got that cleared. So there's a little bit of volume in that area, but much better. 70 westbound now looks good. It's slowing at Wentzville, but in between, it's not bad. Westbound 40, moderate volume at Clayton Skinker, and just a little west of Lindbergh, and moderate volume every now and then through Chesterfield Valley. Slowing again, but again, only moderate. Highway N out through 70. And if you're headed into Illinois, now's the time. We look great on the bridges downtown. But 44 westbound is slow in front of the Arch grounds. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Hey, if I told you you could go to a website right now, thegelmanteam.com, and find out how much your home is really worth, maybe you're thinking about putting it on the market. Maybe you're just curious, right? Well, you can go to their website right now and click on that banner that says, how much is your home really worth? Find out for free. Enter your address. It's going to kick you back a very accurate price. You want to take it to the next level with the Gelmans? They'll do it for you. You want an instant cash offer? They can handle that as well. Their website really has all kinds of other great resources for you, not only the tool that I just mentioned, but they have a podcast up there. There's blogs. There is a way to contact them right away. There's all kinds of great reviews as well. I speak highly of them because they're my friends. I've known them for a long time, long before they were my realtors. They were my personal friends. I think you're going to love the team that they have put together. They can help you with real estate here in an expert way with a ton of experience. So check out the website, thegelmanteam.com with eXp Realty, 314-336-1991. Tell them that I sent you along. The Gelman Team.
We, without hesitation, recommend that anybody work with ThrottleNet. The experience will be as good as it's been for us, for anybody, because you'll get a true partnership and you'll be able to rest easy that you're going to get the service that you need while they're also doing all those things that you don't want to have to think about, that you don't want to have to worry about. They're always doing that in the background for you.
Don't wait for your next IT crisis. If your business depends on technology, you need a partner that's got your back. Contact ThrottleNet.com to get a free IT evaluation and see how we can support your IT everything.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. If you've been injured in a car accident, call America's largest injury law firm. For over 35 years, my mission has been to deliver more for our clients, to deliver more for you. Injured? Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Annie Fry here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They are the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com.
You know your customers. Ralph likes his coffee black on Fridays, but Mondays he takes a little cream. Jennifer comes in every 3 years when her lease is up to get the newer and better model. And for some reason, pepperoni pizza sells like crazy on Friday nights. Who knew? At Odyssey, we have the expertise to get your media plan done right. With ads like you're hearing right now, to targeted social media campaigns, search engine optimization, and location-based advertising. Advertise with Odyssey and help us grow your business. Visit ads.odyssey.com.
Freedom has a frequency. 97.1 FM Talk. 97.1 FM Talk. St. Louis Conservative.
I feel like if there were a bee in the studio and you needed me to keep broadcasting, I would do that for you guys, just so you know.
I don't know if I would.
You're a martyr. That's what this is.
There's been times where I was alone, got sick, and in between the break, I've had to throw up in the trash can and then just keep going. That's happened to me before.
I was
It's terrible.
happy in my ignorance of that story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes, you know what? In the world of broadcasting, you just got to keep going. What are you going to do? But I feel I can get stung by a bee and keep going. Well, maybe 2 or 3. It depends on how many bees there are. If there's just one, I think I can handle that. More than one, we're getting dead air. I think I'm just going to head out. All right, let's go to Sue's News.
These allegations are deeply concerning.
Does the president have any comment?
We're not going to comment. It's not clear messaging. No.
And now, Sue's News. Brought to you by Sue.
Man, we've got 2 national days that are food today that I find both appealing. It is National Lasagna Day. What's not to love?
Yep.
Okay, now, Michael and I were just on a vacation trip, and part of where we went was Cleveland and then up to Buffalo. And we had a pizza in Buffalo that was a lasagna pizza. So it was really interesting. So a red sauce, yes, but kind of like shaved meat, or well, just a little bits of meat, like lasagna sausage in there with some cheese. It was good.
Sounds so good.
Lasagna pizza. Yes,
now.
people. All right. And the other one is National Chicken Wing Day. I love a chicken wing. Fred.
I love chicken wings. They're so hard to eat, though.
Yeah, Mike says it's not enough payoff. A lot of effort, not enough payoff. What are your thoughts?
Does this specify bone in or bone out chicken wings?
I am personally thinking with bone, but you could make it what you do. You like them without bone?
Well,
It
just
be a
because they're
hunk of
cleaner,
chicken.
I prefer them bone out, but I will eat either.
What is your thought about that, Ryan Recker?
I would say yes, and the sauce is a big part of it. And
agreed.
I always, whenever I get wings, I ask them to do it well done. I like a little extra crispy.
Oh,
I'm okay with that.
I'm not.
Same thing with pizza. If I get a pizza, hey, can you put it in a little bit longer? I want it well done. But can I tell you one of my
Also okay
favorite
with that.
sauces?
Yes.
Freddie Lee's Ghetto sauce there. Have you ever had that?
No, I'm going in.
It
Freddie
is
Lee's
ghetto sauce.
Ghetto sauce.
It sounds hot.
It does.
No, it
Is
is
it
just
regional?
the perfect. It's St. Louis, yes.
Okay.
So it is the best sauce I have ever had in my life. and I miss it greatly. And if I ever come back to visit St. Louis, that's one of the things I'm bringing back with me.
Oh my gosh, what does it look like? First of all, it's got 5 stars on Google.
It is so good.
Is it a red sauce? Yeah, it's red.
Yeah, it's a little bit hot. I would say on the hotter side, but to me, I don't like hot stuff, and it was great.
That's what I was gonna say. I don't have you pegged for a hot sauce person, so that's interesting. I like a little blue cheese and a little ranch.
Ooh,
I do a
yeah.
little of this,
Come
a little
on.
of that. Give me both.
Talk to me.
It's also National Lipstick Day. Yeah, so you guys can both enjoy
That one's for you, Ryan.
Uh-huh. On this day in history, 67 years ago, in 1958, NASA was created, and it was created 9 months after Russia launched their first Sputnik satellite. So we were really just playing catch up. NASA is just playing catch up because we were worried about Russia. And I forget that. And then I read that every year and I go, oh, that's interesting. And then on this day in history, 29 years ago in 1996, this was so cool. 35-year-old Carl Lewis shocked the world by taking the gold medal in the long jump at the Atlanta Olympics. It was his 9th gold medal. Wow. And it made him only one of 2 athletes ever to win the same event at 4 straight Olympic Games.
Wow. It's amazing.
And if you can, I think you can go back on YouTube and watch that if that's something that floats your boat. I love watching stuff like that. He was amazing. All right, that was 29 years ago. And then on a completely different topic, the Galactus popcorn bucket is being sold now. Do you know what that is, Ethan?
I do not. I have no idea.
It's in conjunction with the Fantastic Four First Steps. It set the record for the world's largest commercially available popcorn bucket. All right, you will not like the cost of this, Ryan Record. $80. $80.
What? Well, I mean, I did pay that much at Disney for a bucket of popcorn. It feels like at least.
Gosh.
Should it cost there?
It's 20 inches wide, 17 and a half inches high. It holds 341 ounces. That makes it the world's largest commercially available popcorn bucket. The eyes light up. I guess that's part of the $80. And it's sold out immediately at theaters around the country. And you can still order it if you're into Galactus at AMC Theater Shop. But it doesn't ship until early December. To me, it looked like kind of a robot doing this. Like with arms going out.
You don't even get it immediately?
Almost like shrugging.
Yeah, it's almost like shrugging. Thank you.
Yeah, no.
Thank you for that, because I'm just going,
December.
Yes.
So it's like a Christmas present that you're buying now.
Yeah.
You can't even eat popcorn out of it when you watch the movie.
Well, you can, but it's got lit up eyes and weird arms. But if that's your thing, it's large.
I mean, it'll be streaming on Disney Plus by the time you get it in the mail.
That's true. I'm not sure it's out yet. I don't know when.
Fantastic Four?
Thank you. Will you look that up?
Yeah.
It's out.
Oh,
yeah.
Is it?
No, it's
doing
out.
pretty well.
Okay. Well, then, of course, I got down just a movies thing. And Eddie Murphy was promoting his new action comedy, The Pickup, on yesterday's Today Show. And then he told Al Roker everything he's working on right now. And we have some of that sound because I was like, wow.
Getting ready to do a George Clinton Parliament Funkadelic. I'm getting ready to do George Clinton. Started Shrek 5. And I'm going to be Inspector Clouseau in the next Pink Panther.
What?
Yeah, I'm the new Clouseau.
You're the new Inspector Clouseau?
Yeah, I'm a new Clouseau.
Are you French in this?
Maybe. Well, it has to be French. I will tell you, he is black. He's black.
We know he's black.
He is black.
I'm thinking if Eddie Murphy does a good French accent, then he's French. If he isn't, he's just a black guy who lives in France. That's how I took it. I love that. They also say The Pickup co-stars Pete Davidson, Marshawn Lynch, Andrew Dice Clay, which you don't often see in the movies anymore. And this is going to Prime Video on August the 6th. Now, there's also a rumor that Metallica might be doing a residency at the Sphere.
Oh, wow.
That would be
Wouldn't that be
awesome to
something?
see.
You're right.
Oh, man.
That'll sell out for eons. From the hard rockers going to see that. I mean, Kevin just on KMOX would go 15 times if he could. And and there was a story out today. There is a 55-year-old man that has been sentenced to 2.5 years in prison for stalking Caitlin Clark. Like, she doesn't have enough on her plate. This man's name is Michael Lewis. He's from Texas, and he pled guilty to a felony count of stalking, one of harassment. Oh, ick. And he'd apparently sent hundreds of threats and sexually explicit messages at the end of last year. Double ick. But they got him, and that's what he's got to do.
That's
2.5
sick.
years. It is. And poor Caitlin Clark. Seriously, she doesn't need anything else to deal with.
Wait, so is there a little bit of, it's kind of like ironic, funny in a way, where she probably saw very little of that. Someone else was handling all of her media and communications, where it was probably just some dude dealing with this.
Well,
and
for them,
she was just aware of it.
Well, for them to actually get a felony count of stalking, he had to do something. I should have looked up the definition of that, but it wasn't just, here's terrible stuff in the mail. I mean, it would have to be something else. And harassment, I don't know what the difference is, but it's got to be no bueno. All right, they've got a new poll out looking at the age requirements of various things. They found that a majority of Americans would raise the driving age above 16. Ethan, yes, no? That's a tough one.
I'm gonna say no.
Yeah?
I'm gonna say no. I don't know. I understand why some people would say yes, but I don't know. I didn't get in any wrecks in my youth. So I mean, I don't know. Feels like it's that first step into adulting.
It does. Ryan, 16 or more?
Yeah, I don't want to drive my kid around forever. So 16, please. Give them the driver's license.
It's all about you, Fred.
No, I think 16 is good because a lot of kids have to get to like a job after school or something like
Practice.
that.
Well, that's true too.
Yeah.
52% of Americans say you should have to be older than 16. And the age group that agrees the most is 18 to 29-year-olds. 58% of them said, I should not have had a license at 16. I just thought that was high. Most Americans would support a maximum age of driving as well.
Yes.
Here's the thing with that. Some people are fine. And then some people aren't.
Yeah.
I don't think it should be based on age. I think it should be based on testing.
I mean, you look at Trump, look at Biden, right? You know, I mean, it's hard to not be case by case.
Agreed. And finally, in Sue's news, we have today's random fact. Domino's and Pizza Hut are luxury chains in Japan. Large pizzas cost at least $35. Is that true, Fred? Fred's our Japan expert.
Yeah, I couldn't tell because it was all in yen.
Oh,
so I didn't do the math.
Never mind on Fred,
That's
but he
right.
went
Sorry.
there.
I'll work on it. I'll get back to you.
That's it for Sue's news.
All right. Joining us after the break is Jane Dueker. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to the Mark Reardon Show, 97.1 FM Talk.
I'm Chad Robinson with Your Money Now. Starbucks today reporting its sixth straight quarter of same-store sales declines as the company tries to right the ship. Net sales rose 4% to $9.5 billion, but global same-store sales declined by 2%, which was a steeper drop than estimates of a 1.3% slide, according to StreetAccount. Shares are currently up roughly 3% in after-hours trading. Shares of Singapore Airlines plunged after the carrier reported a 59% decline in earnings for the first quarter. Net profit fell to $144 million for the quarter. Stocks were lower today on Wall Street as a rash of earnings reports loom on the stress trading week, and most of those start tomorrow. The Dow falling more than 200 points, the S&P 500 and NASDAQ both down slightly. Crude oil futures for September up 3.8%, sitting above $69 a barrel. That's Your Money Now.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Your biggest choice in home restoration is, who do you trust with your home, your most valued asset? Well, few can match Banner Construction's experience and dedication to excellence. Banner is an elite preferred James Hardie contractor and Pella window specialist. Restoration is a one-time opportunity to have Banner's design team show you architectural options to make your home the neighborhood showcase. Call for a free consultation today. 314-569-1050. Now hiring qualified carpenters. BannerConstruction.com.
Guys, it's time to take charge of your health with my friends at Victory Men's Health. Mark Cox here. I already love what they do at Victory. They do hormone optimization, sexual health, weight loss, even vitamin deficiencies. Now they're offering specialty cardiovascular testing and even early detection cancer screening. Visit them at one of their 4 great locations, now in Sunset Hills, Town and Country, O'Fallon, Missouri, and O'Fallon, Illinois. Tell them Mark Cox sent you. Go to victorymenshealth.com.
This year, fuel prices have been a bit of a roller coaster. Here in St. Louis, drivers finally have some relief at the pump. But when it comes to groceries and food, it's still pretty bumpy out there. Well, you know what can make your ride smoother? The Upside app. With Upside, you can earn an average 8% cash back on grocery or restaurant purchases and up to 25 cents per gallon on gas, which means there's money to be earned even when fuel prices are low. There are hundreds of nearby locations like Schnucks, Burger King, Arby's, and Taco Bell. Download the app and see why millions of Upside users have racked up almost $1 billion in cashback earned. For a limited time, get a 10% bonus on your first purchase with promo code STL11. That's promo code STL11 for an extra 10% cashback bonus. With Upside, you can roll up to a nearby grocery store, restaurant, or gas station and coast straight to cashback earnings. Don't forget to use promo code STL11. Upside. Cashback smarter. Offers vary by user and location. Terms and conditions apply. Go to upside.com for details.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
The time is 4:33. This time check sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
From the gateway city to the front lines of freedom. 97.1 FM Talk. St. Louis Conservative.
And I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Mark Reardon. Joining us now is a local attorney, former candidate for the Democratic nomination for St. Louis County Executive, and many other titles. I know Jane Dueker as what you would call a rational, well thought out person that I truly love. Jane Dueker, thank you for joining the show.
I am so glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
So you, of course, saw the reports, and it's reported in multiple spots. I mean, you can look at Channel 4, for example, and they say St. Louis County Executive Sam Page's office and other county officials are under investigation by the Missouri Attorney General's offices. Multiple sources confirmed to First Alert 4. So I don't know if this is too much of a surprise. I'm guessing you probably heard some rumblings or some thoughts of at least this is inappropriate. Tell me what your thoughts are and what you think's happening.
Well, I think what happened was the Secretary of State of Missouri, he issued a probable cause statement a little bit ago that Sam Page had violated the law that prevents public officials from using taxpayer dollars to campaign for ballot initiatives. And, the statute's on the books. It's unequivocal. And the only thing that public officials are allowed to do and tentatively be able to spend any taxpayer dollars is on an informational campaign. Well, Sam Page came out, he wanted to come out against Proposition B. And Proposition B was put on the ballot by the St. Louis County Council to allow the council with a supermajority to remove department directors, because there have been a slew of department directors involved in, bad activities, everything from lying to the council, from not complying with the Sunshine Law, other bad things. And they wanted the ability, after a hearing, to get rid of these directors because Page won't get rid of his directors that are not performing. And so he hated it. So he spent campaign dollars. He had a PAC, and the PAC paid for mailers to oppose it. And then he decided, well, I'm just going to start spending taxpayer dollars to oppose this measure to protect his department directors. And, you know, he sent out mailers and he did plenty of speeches. Proposition B is bad and it will ruin county services. I mean, there was no information going on. It was full-blown advocacy. And, you know, there was, you know, a lot of money. Some say, you know, there was like 50,000. It was much more than that because one, he hired lawyers to litigate to try to get it off the ballot, and he lost. And so all that taxpayer time and energy, and outside legal fees. And then he did a mailer and said that, you know, Sam Page paid for it. And it was the county, it was the taxpayer that paid for it. So the Secretary of State determined there was probable cause that an election offense had been committed. And he sent the probable cause statement to the prosecutor of St. Louis County. Given that County Executive Page and the council have, you know, control over her budget and, you know, and supervise in certain ways, she recused herself. And the Circuit Court of St. Louis County appointed Andrew Bailey as the special prosecutor in the matter. And yesterday, the Highway Patrol came to St. Louis County and either executed a warrant or a subpoena to get documents, telephone, or other materials. And so that's what happened. Well, and obviously when the Highway Patrol shows up and security takes them up to the 9th floor, everybody knows this. And so it got around pretty quick. And so there's been no official comment from Sam Page or any of his spokespeople, but apparently he hired an attorney, Jeff Jensen, who is a former United States attorney for the Eastern District of Missouri. So he lawyered up.
Here's one thing that's for certain, I would say. He's not going to show up to any council meetings because he didn't show up anytime, anywhere, ever.
Anyway,
but,
correct.
Yeah. But the other thing is, this is going to sound mean, but I say this with 100%. I truly believe this. I don't understand why anyone would ever vote for him ever. He has to be the least charismatic and most lame politician to continue to be voted into office. I don't understand what anyone sees in him. He's full of controversy. He doesn't work in the public's behalf. He works in his own benefit. I just don't get it.
I mean, it's a bipartisan thing. I mean, he really truly is the most like unpopular politician. And, you know, he had, I know, it's amazing to me, you know, because he's got to be taken out in a primary and that's, you know, and that's difficult, but he's going to have a primary this time, I think, and it's going to be a formidable one. So I don't think he's going to make it through the next time, but let me tell you this. I mean, you know, he had, the feds came and arrested, you know, one of his political advisors that he had installed over at the county jail for stealing, you know, pandemic relief money. He had the Highway Patrol came to his office when his chief of staff had a sexual liaison 10 feet from his desk, and it was on film. You know, this is not his first rodeo as far as having to deal with authorities. I mean, how many times, you know, are the voters going to put up with a public official that, you know, every year or two, he gets some kind of investigation on him?
Yeah.
Now, I will say that
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Well, the council has written, Shalonda Webb, who's one of the county councilwomen, has written him a letter and said, we want all information, every subpoena, all documents, anything that you've turned over, we want to know about it. And if you don't tell us by Wednesday, we're going to subpoena you. We need to know exactly what's being investigated and what documents you have and what you've turned over.
Well, we know what happened to his predecessor, Steve Stanger. So not a great track record for people in that seat.
No.
By the way, what's Steve Stanger up to nowadays anyway?
I don't know, but I mean, it is really interesting because, you know, Page was the one that said, oh, we have to release the federal subpoena that was issued on St. Louis County for transparency purposes. But now, suddenly, now that he is county executive, he doesn't want transparency as to investigations that are going on in his office. I mean, I don't think he ever really thought what Steve Stanger was doing was bad. He wanted to be the one doing it, obviously. So, it's just it's hard to look at because this region needs to be the economic engine of our state. And, when we continue to see St. Louis County deteriorating from such poor leadership, it's very frustrating and it's sad. And I really hope the voters take a look because he's in an election cycle. So people need to get real and understand that someone like him is not going to be able to bring St. Louis County forward. It's just that simple. And
with let's say what he's being accused of, what's the penalty for something like that? What could hypothetically he be facing?
Well, it's interesting because the election offense part is, I think I want to say it's a misdemeanor, like just wrongfully spending public dollars for campaigning on a ballot issue is an election offense and it's a misdemeanor. However, I don't know how you could not make an argument that this isn't just theft of taxpayer dollars. I mean, you just took taxpayer dollars for an illegal purpose, right? Mm-hmm. So, and on the federal level, it's called theft of honest services. And that's what Steve Stenger went to jail for, was theft of honest services. So I just don't know how this is any different. And okay. I mean, the brazen, it's pretty bold to go out there and campaign against something. He spent campaign dollars. So at some point he thought that it shouldn't be taxpayer dollars until it got closer to the election. And no one knows out of what budget did he take it? How much was actually finally spent? No one's ever gotten an accounting for that. And two, what accounts? There was no appropriation for this money. So what account did you have extra money in when we're in a budget crisis? Did you spend this money out of? So I think there's a lot of interesting questions coming.
Part of this too, other county officials. So how many other people do you think could be implicated in this?
I have never seen any public governmental body, whether it be a school board or I've never seen them be as brazen as Page was campaigning against it. Basically saying, B is bad and you can't vote for this. It will ruin services during, public emergencies. When they say education, when the court said education campaign, this is what this bill will do. Sam did all kinds of editorializing. I've never seen a public governmental body push the envelope. Well, you can't even call it pushing the envelope. He just blatantly broke the law. I firmly believe this is a blatant violation. And I don't think the Attorney General would be pursuing this if he didn't think that he had them.
Agreed. Sorry, Jane. Because when I heard this today, I thought the Attorney General wouldn't touch this with a 10-foot pole.
Nope.
Unless there was something real going on.
I agree. And I think, this has gone pretty far. And if what I've heard is true, that they, seized a phone, if they're seizing your phone, one, that's usually the end of the investigation. And when they seize your phone, that's never good. So, the court appointed him special prosecutor. So he has original criminal jurisdiction. So I think there is a good argument that he could bring other charges if he finds them.
Just going back, I was trying to remember this, so you'll have to forgive my forgetfulness, but wasn't there another controversy with Sam Page and his phone where he said, "Oh, my kids got a hold of it. I'm sorry. It was my kid's fault." And wasn't there something else with his phone in the past?
Yes, there was something else. What was that? You know what? It vaguely rings a bell, and I'm trying to remember. Maybe, I don't know if it was an untoward message, but, public officials have to be careful with this phone stuff. And I have a feeling, I don't know. I would never, I just don't think he would want his phone taken. I don't think that's a great thing.
If he threw his kids under the bus, then, who knows who's going to throw under the bus next? Because that's kind of his, that's kind of his thing.
You are, yes, that is you know what? You make it is never his fault. It's never his fault, no matter what. And, and the sad part is he used a bunch of county employees. So these county employees, I'm sure they're terrified because, if they had to work on this Proposition B during work hours, working on this campaign, I'm sure they're terrified. And, but he's never had any problem throwing a county employee under the bus. So, it's just sad all around. every piece of litigation he's ever filed has lost. So, I mean, trusting his legal opinion on anything is really not smart. And, he litigated about Prop B and he lost. He lost in the courts. And, but the taxpayers always have to foot the bill.
Yeah.
And that's what's really frustrating.
Jane
And
Dueker,
this is why Prop B was needed, by the way. This kind of behavior that made Prop B necessary, and the council was right when they put it on the ballot.
I think you explained this better than anyone else or any other place I saw. Jane Dueker, thank you so much for joining us here. We really appreciate it.
Have a great day, guys.
Joining us after the break is Bankrate Senior Economic Analyst Mark Hamrick. We're going to see some of these job market numbers coming out. So what does he expect? We'll get his take coming up. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Mark Reardon on 97.1 FM Talk.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We've got an accident reported eastbound 70 approaching Hanley. Watch for that one in the left lane. It's really created a jam behind it. Back past the airport, and then northbound 170 drivers are slowing too. And they're back to the Rock Road. Now, there was a stall northbound 270 past Manchester. That one got moved off to the shoulder. In fact, most of the volume southbound on 270 is moderate from Page in pockets down through Doherty Ferry. Accident on northbound 55 headed for 270. That's caused delays. And southbound 55 slow in the construction zone, headed down toward the Bates area. If you're headed into Illinois, we're fine on the bridges. There's a little bit of a delay eastbound 40 near Jefferson, but again, only moderate volume headed for the bridge. And westbound 64 lines up at Kings Highway. We've got southbound 170 jammed at 40. And on the Illinois side, if you're an eastbound 64 driver between 157 and 159, it's a slow go today. This report brought to you by Point with a Need Pest Control. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative. This summer, while you stay cool, our first responders stay on the front lines. The St. Louis First Responder Canteen is there to keep them hydrated and supported. Find out how you can help by visiting 971talk.com/talkinaction.
Point Pest Control is reminding you it's time to spray for mosquitoes. How can something that tiny interrupt your outside gatherings? Have Point Pest Control spray today so your next outside gathering is mosquito-free. 636-798-0023. Mention Annie to save an additional 10%. PointPestControl.com.
Game Day Men's Health, a free testosterone and PSA test just for making the appointment. You go into one of the 3 locations. The test and the evaluation take about an hour. It's quick, easy. You're going to really feel comfortable. It's a man cave environment. They have a world-class staff that will make you feel comfortable. You're not going to feel rushed. They will answer all your questions. And then they're going to give you a game plan, an educated game plan to move forward to meet your health goals and objectives. Maybe it's TRT, testosterone replacement therapy. Maybe it's something along the lines of medical weight loss or sexual health and erectile enhancement. They have very unique ED treatments that address the root causes and provide great long-term solutions. And again, it's all about the environment at Game Day. Matt Lawrence and his team in Chesterfield, very proud of what they do. I think you're going to love the experience. The pricing, by the way, very simple. When you get the medicine, you can do it at home. They give you that flexibility as well. They're in Chesterfield at Highway 6440 in Clarkson. They're in O'Fallon, Missouri. They're also in Glen Carbon, Illinois, and the website GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Guys, get back to the top of your game with Game Day Men's Health.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install a Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/radio to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/radio for your free gutter inspection today. See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. One discount per household.
Mark Cox here. Join me, Annie Fry, and Mark Reardon, along with Bob and Tammy Kershaw of the Retirement Advisory Group for the next Protecting Your Retirement educational event. It's Tuesday, August 5th at the Frontenac Hilton at 6:30. Here are Bob and Tammy with more.
Are you nearing retirement or already retired? Do you have your personalized income plan in place? Would you like to learn why linking to the market is much safer than owning the market, and how in 39 years we have never lost a penny of our clients' money?
Would you like to learn how to automatically lock in your market gains every year without having to sell? Did you also know if you're 59 and a half or older, you can roll over your company retirement plan tax-free to protect your nest egg from any future losses? You'll get all the answers and more. If you're 59 and a half or older, you cannot afford to miss this event.
Protect your retirement nest egg and join the official financial advisors of my show, Bob and Tammy Kershaw, at the Frontenac Hilton, Tuesday, August 5th at 6:30. Go to retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
Are you looking for an easy way to get a daily detox? Active Liver is the easy way to get a daily detox to keep you healthy and feeling your best. You can find Active Liver in the vitamin aisle at your local CVS or online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com.
Born in the Midwest, built on common sense. 97.1 FM Talk. St. Louis Conservative.
Welcome back. Well, we got a big report coming out this week. Joining us now to discuss from Bankrate, their senior economic analyst, and someone that also loves St. Louis, Mark Hamrick. Welcome onto the show.
I appreciate that context. Absolutely true, and great to be with you, my friend.
Well, we have the jobs report, I believe, coming out on Friday. That's August 1st. It's hard to believe August is this week. Yeah. And I think a lot of people are a little bit nervous about this one. They see things as slowing down. What do you think we're going to see this week?
Yeah, and that's a very good way of setting it up. And it's not just what we get with this report. It's been broadly a trend of slower hiring, but thank goodness we really have not seen a substantial pickup in layoffs. And for years now, we've been sort of bracing for the recession in the United States, but it hasn't happened. Bankrate surveys and others indicate many Americans have felt like they are experiencing a recession because of high inflation, elevated prices that result from that. In terms of the report we're due to get just a few days from now, the unemployment rate's expected to tick back up to 4.2%. It moved down to 4.1 for the month of June, had been sort of sticking around 4.2 for about 3 months in the spring. We had 147,000 jobs added in June, but government accounted for about half of those. So that sort of was, in a way, cheating. It was state and local government, and the other half being in the private sector. And so this time around, we do expect to see a report that does speak to further cooling of the job market. And that would include, if it comes in as expected, perhaps around 100,000 jobs added as opposed to the average 130,000 being added per month so far this year.
Okay. Well, in the grand scheme of things, is that bad? Is that all right? Are we going to get through this? How would you grade that?
I mean, I think what we need to do is, first of all, acknowledge the great resilience of the American economy over these several years where, our Bankrate survey of economists had indicated when interest rates were at their peak that the odds of a recession were basically 50-50. Now, they've dialed that back down to about 1 in 4. So, we haven't experienced a recession since the Great Pandemic. And that has been kind of a bit of a cheat in the sense that it didn't happen. We want to maintain momentum. By the end of the year, the Federal Reserve is in alignment with most private economists, and that is they expect generally that growth should sort of slow to a rather lackluster rate of 1% annually. The long-term average is 2%. So that's about half of where you want to be. And by the end of the year, it's expected that inflation will move farther away from the Federal Reserve's 2% target, get up to around the 3% realm. And that's largely because of the impacts of tariffs, which we know are the favored tool in the toolbox of the President of the United States. So I would say that we've gotten here relatively unscathed. Is something that has worked in our favor. But, if you're working in a particular job in a particular sector, you want to have a high degree of job security and confidence about that. And just today, the Conference Board's Consumer Confidence Survey indicated a diminished job security on the part of Americans, and our own bank rate surveys bear that out as well.
Just so you know, there's only one way to guarantee we don't have a recession. Just change the definition of what a recession is, and then you don't have one. Mark Hamrick, by the way, if people want to look you up online, where can they go?
Well, the basic place would be at bankrate.com. And of course, my X/Twitter account is Hamrick-isms, and I'm all over LinkedIn as well. Last name Hamrick.
Mark Hamrick, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. You take good care.
Don't go anywhere. You're listening to 97.1 FM Talk.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Well, we've had some issues on the roads this afternoon. If you are just leaving the office, westbound 44 downtown is really slow in front of the Arch grounds. And we've got northbound 55 slow headed for the Poplar. On the Illinois side, eastbound 64 is lined up between 157 and 159. Then back on the Missouri side, it looks like the usual. Westbound 40 Kings Highway out through McCausland. Some moderate volume through Chesterfield Valley. 70, a little bit slow eastbound past the airport. And westbound really isn't that bad. It's just slow out the Wentzville area. There was an accident on northbound 270. And this one was really near Dorset, maybe just past there. Some moderate volume in that area. And southbound is slowing, mainly at Doherty Ferry. Now, 55 southbound slowing in the construction zone, Arsenal down through Revis, and then it's a little bit better. So overall, not so bad. And if you're headed into Illinois, the bridges really are in good shape. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk. Do you have enough money saved to retire? Well, a lot of us have saved and we think, okay, this is great. But if you don't have a written retirement financial plan in place, then you're essentially winging it. And this just does not make sense to me, because the average person does not know how to get the most out of the system. We just don't. And that's why people like those who work at financial and tax architects are great, because they are really all about setting you up to have a successful retirement. But what they do is teach you how things work. And you go to a class called Retirement Planning 101, and you do have to register, but you go and they teach you, here's how to avoid costly mistakes. Here's how to maximize your income. Here's what we can do if you decide to let us help you. And they will make that a custom plan for you. So start by learning. Call them today, 314-888-5101, 888-5101, and register.
Attention St. Louis Medicaid members. If you need assistance with daily living, you can receive a free service from Freedom Care in your own home from a loved one who lives with you. With Freedom Care, you decide who provides your daily care, helping you with preparing meals, bathing, laundry, transportation, and more. A family member or friend that gets paid weekly. This Medicaid program is available to eligible St. Louis residents. New to Medicaid? The Freedom Care family will guide you through enrollment, making it stress-free for patients and caregivers. With over 7,000 five-star Google reviews, we've perfected at-home care for Medicaid members and caregivers. If you live in the St. Louis area, this service is available through Medicaid, and with our InstaPay app, caregivers can choose to get paid weekly. So go to freedomcare.com now, or for faster service, call 314-697-4912, 314-697-4912. That's 314-697-4912.
Freedom Care, we're here for you.
Let's show our appreciation for local heroes. Mark Cox here. Nominate a first responder and their department could get lunch from Grill Master Tony's. I'll personally deliver it. Share their story at 971talk.com. Nominate them today.
Coming up here in the 5 o'clock hour, retired NYPD Inspector Paul Mauro joins, as well as Tim Graham, the executive editor for Media Research Center's Newsbusters. All coming up right here on 97.1 FM Talk.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
News. President Trump now on his way back from Scotland, saying Russia has 10 days to end fighting with Ukraine or face steep tariffs and sanctions. The president again talked about the growing numbers of casualties.
Now it's 7,000 people are dying a week. Mostly Ukrainian and Russian soldiers.
The president had originally given Russian President Vladimir Putin 50 days, but moved up the deadline because he said no progress was being made. The gunman who the NYPD says killed 4 people in a Midtown Manhattan office building yesterday worked at a hotel in Las Vegas. Shane Tamuro took his own life after the shooting.
We are learning from the Horseshoe Hotel in Las Vegas that he worked in the surveillance department there. Police believe that he drove across the country to carry out this attack. And according to New York City Mayor Eric Adams, a note was found in his pocket that mentioned his grievances against the National Football League and his belief that he had CTE, a degenerative brain disease that impacts a lot of football players. The gunman played football in high school, but never in the NFL.
Fox's Nate Foy in Manhattan. Police believe that Tamuro was targeting the NFL offices in the building, but took the wrong elevator and ended up on the floor that houses the real estate firm that owns the building. Investigators are looking for answers one day after a barge crashed into a sailboat in the waters off Miami, killing 2 children and injuring 2 others.
The Coast Guard, alongside our local, state, and federal partners, has launched a comprehensive investigation to determine exactly what happened.
Coast Guard Captain Frank Florio, 5 children were on board with 1 adult when the crash happened. 2 of the survivors are said to be in good condition. The Miami Yacht Club, which runs the sailing program, says it's cooperating with authorities. Wall Street indexes edged back from their record levels. The Dow lost 204, the Nasdaq off 80, the S&P minus 18. America is listening to Fox News.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
An official message from Medicare.
I turned 65 this year. I knew it was time to figure out Medicare, and I had questions, like when to enroll and how to enroll. So I went straight to the official source, Medicare.gov, to get the facts about Medicare. I found answers to all my questions, and I'm ready to get started. And so can you. Just go to Medicare.gov to get the real facts about Medicare.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Brutal is the weather word, but we have one more day of this before things get better. Mostly clear, warm, and humid tonight. 90s this evening, 79 for the low. Wednesday, partly sunny. It is still hot and humid. 94 degrees. We'll be watching for a couple of thunderstorms in the afternoon. Scattered showers and thunderstorms Wednesday night, 71. Thursday, 82. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
And welcome back. Another hour here. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Mark Reardon. Joining us now, Fox News contributor, retired NYPD inspector, attorney, and founder of the opsdesk.org, Paul Mauro. Thank you for coming on with us here in St. Louis.
Thanks for having me, Ryan.
So I understand Mayor Adams just had another press conference. Were you able to catch any of it?
I did catch the end of it, yeah. I think the main revelation is that he imparted that there was potentially another person who purchased a gun stock or a piece of the gun that was used in the incident in Midtown Manhattan. And so, of course, that's something that detectives are going to be scraping at very hard as they travel out there to, to where he bought the gun and try to figure out what happened in Vegas before all this.
Yeah. Well, the fact that he came from Vegas all the way to New York, I'm guessing people in New York, they're tired of this kind of stuff from happening. They don't want to see this in their community, but so often it happens over and over again. What are they supposed to do about things like this?
I mean, one of the things they could do, of course, in terms of lessons learned, is recognize that they need to support the efforts of the police. and that they have to recognize that the police are very, very understaffed. Now, I don't know that the NYPD would have been able to stop this. That would have been a little bit of a needle in the haystack to have somebody in that exact spot at that exact time, but you certainly could have cut down response time. Maybe you could have got to this guy before he went up in the elevator, because the response time from shots fired is very, very low in Midtown Manhattan. I worked in that area. The cars that will be coming from all over the place. Problem is that there are not cars to come from all over the place anymore. They are overtasked. They're going from job to job. That's a very big precinct. The cops that are assigned to that location could very well be half a mile away in heavy traffic. So you're asking a lot of an NYPD that's operating with its hands tied behind its back, especially when you consider that the cops these days, they're being taught, it's being inculcated in them not to be proactive, because you have these predatory district attorneys who would rather lock up police than the perpetrators. And that's not an overstatement. I think that a lot of the district attorneys in this town see locking up a police officer as a career maker as opposed to making a big criminal case.
Yeah, that's what I think. You mentioned the support for police. Maybe that's one of the takeaways here. But at the same time, you have someone like Mamdani, who is supported, perhaps, could be the next mayor of New York, and he's anti-police. I would even argue that he probably has a hatred for them. But there's people that support him, and he's just hates them so much. I don't see how that meshes.
Well, they gamed the system here. And when I say they, I mean the far left. They put in the ranked choice voting in the Democratic primary, and that ranked choice voting was gamed to get the furthest left progressive in there. And one of the reasons that happened is because the other very far left candidates knew that they could not win. And so they threw their support behind Mamdani, on my estimation, likely because they think they'll get jobs in a Mamdani administration. And they're also fellow travelers. They're true believers in all of this stuff. And when you game the system like that, and when you recognize that there is a dearth of Republican voters in this town, and you also recognize that there's a dearth of voters in this town, New York City voters just don't come out. For a city that's so politicized, they don't vote. And as a result, you get people through the same system, like Bill de Blasio winning 2 terms, and now Mamdani, who is the odds-on favorite because everybody else in the race who is to the right of him is going to split the vote. Right now, between the 3 of them, that is Adams, Cuomo, and the Republican, Curtis Sliwa, were he not a Republican, Sliwa is the logical answer here. But there's just too many people in this town who will not get over the fact that he has an R after his name. And so I think we are doomed to a Mamdani. And even if we don't get Mamdani, were we to get, let's say, Cuomo, he is going to lean into his far left because he sees the way the city is going. And right now, 40% are going for Mamdani.
So what do you do in a situation like Cincinnati, kind of shifting in a different situation for sure, but you have a large crowd. I think they said 150,000 people. You got big sports events going on and a big brawl breaks out. And from all accounts, there probably wasn't enough security going on at that location at that time. So I know it's a little bit different, but what do you do in situations like that?
It's different, but it's not, right? I mean, because you have the same public safety issues. And one of the things I think that made this thing go so viral is that, it's on film. And were it not on film, this would have just been a blip that you don't even hear about. But it is on film as more and more of this stuff is. And I think the real takeaway in this instance is that everybody filmed it, and many of them jumped in, but only one person had the decency to call 911.
Yeah,
and it just goes to the same issue, which is there's such a pejorative against the police these days and against the idea of somehow or other, if you're in favor of law and order, you're some sort of a sellout. And as a result, we saw the results. The woman was knocked unconscious. What I am interested in now relative to the Cincinnati story is what the charges are, how many are charged, and how far they go with it. Because I can tell you that the devil's in the details with these things. They'll charge it. They'll keep people happy. They'll keep themselves out of the media. When I say they, I mean the prosecutors, and they will keep their names out of the media because they'll say, we're going all the way with this thing and we're charging gang assault. And then as time goes on, they plea it down, and everybody gets out with a slap on the wrist, no harm, no foul. And if you don't think that sends a message to the kind of people that would engage in that kind of a gang assault, and I thought the police commissioner said something, and, I'm a default protector of the police, but I thought she said something that was quite injudicious. She said something like, oh, those videos only show one side of things. I don't really need to see the precipitating incident there unless there was somebody waving a gun, which there was not. There's no excuse for some of the behavior that we saw on that film. And this both sides-ism coming from a police chief in an incident like this. And I'm not saying that everybody was faultless on both sides. But that said, in light of what you see, clear as a bell on that video, this is no time for both sides-ism. This is a time to send a very strong message. And if you engage in that kind of behavior, especially in a downtown area where there's a lot of commerce, there's families where you're trying to bring commerce to this central part of Cincinnati, there just can be a zero tolerance policy for something like that. And that's the message you want to deliver. I thought that was bungled.
Yeah, and what I find a lot of these large areas, and I feel like this is a trend, Cincinnati or anywhere else, you find the police chief goes out there and what they do is they try to make the argument things aren't as bad as it seems, or the crime rates are actually lower. So this is an anomaly, or, you know, here's the excuse to try to make it look like the place is actually a lot safer. But these type of excuses, they're manipulating statistics in order, one, to make that happen, but two, saying that after a giant brawl where people are hurt, or saying that after someone goes in and shoots people and a police officer dies, is such in poor taste. But it's kind of what they've been doing to justify, to say our policies are working.
That's exactly right. And the thing that gets lost in the sauce on something like this is the quality of life stuff, because it's no secret. In fact, it's a given, according to all research, that the vast, vast majority of crimes are not even reported, especially property crimes. Property crimes are generally not reported at the rate of like 70, 80%, okay, depending on what study you read, but they're just not reported. Never mind, even violent crimes are generally only reported at about 50%. And you can look this up, you can Google it, as they say. So that is a definite. And when you realize that that amorphous statistic is out there, because there's no real way to gauge things that happen that are not reported, then it becomes very easy to believe that those numbers, of course, have creeped up, because we see how the quality of life in our blue cities continues to be denigrated, continues to just go downhill. And yet at the same time, the chorus of those telling us that we shouldn't believe our lying eyes only grows louder. And you get a Mamdani, you know, you get a Brandon Johnson, you get some of these Yahoo mayors who seem to believe that their lot in life is just to make sure they get reelected and game the system, get the super PAC money, get the NGO money, and get their loyalists out there through all kinds of promises. And the regular people that live and work in these areas suffer. And I don't think it's any exaggeration to say right now that America's cities are in real trouble. I would go so far as to say some of them in crisis, and they're the engines of our economy. And I think at some point you're going to see the Trump administration put their fingers on that. They've nodded towards it, but they're aware of it. And I do really think that our big city police, I mean, I'm not ignoring small city police, of course, but the big city police in big towns like Cleveland, Cincinnati, and all the others that we know about, San Francisco, Oakland, Portland, Seattle, Chicago, New York, Baltimore, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., these cities are all failing. And they all have one common denominator: hyper-progressive liberal mayors and prosecutors. That's just a hard metric, and it's inarguable, but they'll argue it anyway.
Yep. By the way, if people wanted to look up you or your work, where can they go?
Go to opsdesk.org, and it'll take you to Substack with some writing. I'm on Twitter and all that kind of stuff as well. I'm also on Fox News if you want to tune in. But yeah, opsdesk.org if you want to opine. We love when people weigh in. And yeah, hope to see you there. And I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, what they're doing. So I'm get the ability to fill in here, but I lived in St. Louis for a long time. I live in Detroit now, and the city council just passed another curfew for teenagers, because that's a major issue right now. Teenagers going around shooting and killing people, to the fact where the parents are upset because they're going to be fined if their teen is out past 11 p.m. causing trouble. So these things, the crime keeps happening, and happens in major cities. Unfortunately, curfews they're not getting, I don't know if it's a parenting issue with some of these teens, but nonetheless, they're hiding these statistics. And the reality is people are getting hurt out there. Random people are getting shot in their house because of they're in the crossfire. That stuff's got to end. We got to be more sympathetic to these victims. We're not. We're sympathetic to the stats, or trying to give a better impressions of the city. We got to cut this out. We're not getting anything done.
It isn't working. At some point, you know, as the old saying goes, the first step in solving a problem is admitting you have it. And I think it's pretty clear that our big cities really, really have it. And the fact that in Detroit, you literally have to legislate parenting goes to, I think, a deeper cultural problem that, once again, nobody really wants to talk about or discuss. But kids are being raised these days by internet, and they're all online. And on many instances, they're getting the wrong messages, and the parents are abdicating that responsibility. And that's just not a recipe for a successful society going forward. Look, the world's getting smaller. You know, we're in deep competition. We're in major state competition with China, with Russia, with all these nations around the world who mean us harm. We are not going to be able to win that battle if all we can do is sit on TikTok.
Yep. Paul Mauro, opsdesk.org. You can find him on there. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate it, buddy.
Fantastic work he's doing. Fox News contributor, retired NYPD inspector, opsdesk.org. OPS, opsdesk.org. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Mark Reardon, 97.1 FM Talk.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
On the roads, we had a stall southbound 55 approaching Bates, right down in that construction area where it really gets weird. And there was a little bit of a delay through there. So if you are traveling southbound through there, that was the problem. Now, the good news is things look fine if you're headed into Illinois on the bridges, but we've got a slow go. Eastbound 64 in pockets, 157 through 159. Missouri side, westbound 40, a slow go, approaching Hampton out through McCausland. Some moderate volume through Chesterfield Valley and a little slow out at Prospect. Now, 70 westbound looks good out of downtown. It's slowing at Wentzville. And we've got volume southbound 170 headed for 6440. This report is brought to you by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Jerry Kelly swings next day installs no matter how late you call. And because they work later every day, they're faster when your equipment just needs fixing too.
That's MVP material.
Yep, simple fix or a full install. Nobody gets you comfortable faster.
JerryKelly.com. Hey, are you looking for a car? Are you in the market for a car right now? Or are you going to sell a car or trade a car? Are you looking for a motorcycle or maybe a truck? I got you covered in all those fronts. Master Cars Inc. They're in Granite City, Illinois. It's a used car dealership with new car caliber. And I trust these guys so much. I've worked with them multiple times over the last decade. They've become friends, Alex and Gary, father and son team. They have such passion and expertise for what they do. They can find your car. Tell them you want this particular make and model, a 4Runner, a Toyota 4Runner black with 10 or 20,000 miles. They'll find it for you. They have cars on the lot right now. They have fancy cars too, like weekend cars and Corvettes and Harleys. They'll buy vehicles from you and give you a great price if it's a vehicle that's in great shape. I can't say enough about what Alex and Gary have done for me personally. They can do it for you as well in an expert, professional fashion. You're going to love the passion that they bring. It's really going to change the way that you buy cars from now until the end of your life. MasterCarsInc.com. Tell them that I sent you in.
Imagine this, a summer evening, relaxing under a beautiful porch overhang, hosting your friends on a composite deck, or enjoying a bug-free breeze in a screened room. That sounds dreamy, right? Hi, it's Kim, and that dream can be your reality with Lakeside Renovation and Design because they specialize in creating outdoor spaces that make your backyard the go-to spot for family and friends. And with their attention to detail and the high-quality materials they use, you'll have a space that lasts for years. Visit lakesiderd.com today to get started on your outdoor oasis.
With the heat we have here in St. Louis, just a note, most air conditioners aren't set or able to handle 100 degrees without running constantly. So before you freak out and think your air conditioner is bad, here's a few tips. If you don't have ceiling fans in your bedrooms, you can get pedestal fans and put them in your room. Keep those running all the time. On a second-story house, put one pedestal fan on top of your steps and blow it into the foyer area up high so it's cooling the heat as it's coming up and circulating the air. If you have an attic fan, simple, quick fix, plastic bag, cut it up, and duct tape, because what's happening is it's sucking in all your attic air and the heat and humidity from the outside. Try those things before you call anybody or you call me. But if you did that, please call me, Bart Inman, 314-293-2600. Remember, 0% financing is available for most up to 60 months. God bless.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. If you've been injured in a car accident, call America's largest injury law firm. For over 35 years, my mission has been to deliver more for our clients, to deliver more for you. If you or anyone in your family has been injured in a car accident, call us now, as the time to file a claim may be limited. Last year, more clients hired Morgan & Morgan than ever before. protecting America, fighting for you. Morgan & Morgan. Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Major League Baseball realized they needed new rules to help grow and speed up the game. Your retirement strategy may also need updating to keep up with potential tax law changes, Social Security, or whatever curveball Uncle Sam throws your way. Call Ricken Financial for an initial no-cost portfolio x-ray. 314-207-6211. That's 314-207-6211 or online at rickenfinancial.com. Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, registered investment advisor.
We, without hesitation, recommend that anybody work with ThrottleNet. The experience will be as good as it's been for us, for anybody, because you'll get a true partnership and you'll be able to rest easy that you're going to get the service that you need while they're also doing all those things that you don't want to have to think about, that you don't want to have to worry about. They're always doing that in the background for you.
Don't wait for your next IT crisis. If your business depends on technology, you need a partner that's got your back. Contact ThrottleNet.com to get a free IT evaluation and see how we can support your IT everything.
From the gateway to the airwaves, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
In a couple of minutes, we're going to talk to Tim Graham. He's the executive editor for the Media Research Center's Newsbusters. Awesome organization. I really like them and the work that they're doing, so looking forward to that. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Mark Reardon. Got so many other different audio clips that we haven't really looked at yet. Going back to that attack on Cincinnati, we know who's from Ohio, our Vice President, J.D. Vance. He had some comments on what happened down there. This is clip number 3. We can play that.
What I saw is a mob of lawless thugs beating up on an innocent person, and it's disgusting. And I hope every single one of those people who engage in violence is prosecuted to the full extent of the law. When you have a grown man who sucker punches a middle-aged woman, that person ought to go to jail for a very long time.
Yeah, well, certainly, sure. It just depends. I know what the people may be saying, like Paul Mauro. Oh, we don't know the other side of the story here, but sucker punching old ladies. Well, maybe old's not the right word. Innocent people that happen to be in the crowd. That is garbage. It makes me want to stay away from large crowds. Honestly, it makes me just want to say, okay, there's going to be 150,000 people hanging around after these games. Ooh, I'm too old for that. Basically, that's a young man's game. That's the, oh yeah, there's going to be a lot of people having fun downtown. You and your buddies can go down and enjoy it. Not for me anymore. We got another clip from J.D. Vance. I don't know if he swears here or not. I'm a little hesitant to play this, but he basically told them they should throw them all in jail, which is pretty good. But I think they're going to have to. I think they're going to have to identify who these people are and hold them all accountable. I saw that Pete Buttigieg was in the news again. They were asking him a couple of different questions. He's got that beard now, I think. I haven't seen him recently, but he started growing it out. He is someone that was a high-profile member of the Biden administration. I definitely have concerns and criticisms. I think warranted ones. A lot of people do. I don't think anyone really looked at him and said he accomplished much of anything. And at the very least, I think that if he was part of the inner circle and part of the cabinet, then he would have seen firsthand the decline of Joe Biden and did nothing. So I also question him as someone we should take advice from. So let's see what he said about New York City and Mamdani. This is clip number 1.
And I would say, he's further left than I am.
Would you endorse him? Say Big Ten approach. I don't agree with him about everything, but I endorse him.
He hasn't asked me to endorse. I'm not really a player in New York City municipal politics, but I haven't kind of dug in on these policy proposals he's put forward and how they would actually work.
Okay, I'll accept the answer. I don't know. He didn't say no. I mean, it would be easy to say, I don't think so. Or, oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, let's do it. All these people that are trying to wade the water and hedge their bets about Mamdani, I can tell you right now, it would be just better off if you forget about it altogether and just say, not my cup of tea. I don't think this is going to be nice for New York. But keep in mind, if you're in a large place like New York City, they're going to be hyper progressive anyway. It doesn't matter if you endorse them or not. You're not going to have a wrong answer. They're just going to keep voting for your party nonetheless. You're not going to do any harm by saying, no, not my thing. You can, vote your conscience and say yes or no. Maybe that's what you should be doing. He was also asked about what he thinks the Democrats are doing wrong right now. This is clip number 2.
I think that Democrats have been slow to understand the changes in how people get their information, slow to understand some of the cultural changes that have been happening, and maybe most problematic of all, too attached to a status quo that has been failing us for a long time. I think that my party needs to do a better job of addressing the fundamental problems that have led people to mistrust everything.
I mean, that's a very tame answer, but let's look at the differences between Donald Trump down the line and Kamala Harris down the line. You had Donald Trump that went on and did the Joe Rogan podcast, was heard by a lot of people, and that was looked at as one of the major pushes towards the end. What did Kamala Harris go on? Ethan, you're going to have to remind me. What was the name of that podcast? Was it Call Her Daddy?
Yeah, Call Her Daddy.
Call
Yes.
Her Daddy.
Call Her Daddy, yes.
That's what she put all her eggs in the Call Her Daddy basket. I couldn't tell you anything about that podcast, but keep in mind her surrogates were going on these other podcasts too. You remember one of the major surrogates, in fact, leading the charge for Democrats was Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, and she went on that podcast where she took communion. Do you remember that? Like it was like a potato chip communion. And it was like, what is this weird stuff Democrats are into? I think a lot of people thought that's the stuff that people are going to be really engaging with, these super progressive. That's how we really get our base together. It's not. That's not how your base comes together in all of this. I think if you wanted to reach the other side, or at least get your messaging out to the other side, you should have made an effort. Instead, their effort was, let's try to go to the progressive crowd and make sure they get out to the polls, because that's going to be the most important, that they actually vote. And as long as we have numbers, then we'll be fine. Well, $1 billion wasted later, they realize things aren't all that fine. So I think Buttigieg will probably run for other offices in the future. He's young. I think people like him in the sense that he looks trustworthy, but I think he's got a lot of problems as well that need to catch up to him at some point. All right. When we come back, we're going to be talking to the executive editor for the Media Research Center with Newsbusters. And if you're unfamiliar with Newsbusters, let me tell you that they are a fantastic organization that does a lot of research. They put the time into looking at all these major broadcasts, and then they break down things like, okay, how much time do they spend on this opposed to this? And maybe you can start questioning their editorial decisions that way. It's really eye-opening. And they do a lot of this major research, so you don't have to. Tim Graham will join us after the break. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Mark Reardon on 97.1 FM Talk.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We've got plenty of volume on southbound 170 tonight. If you're taking that down from about Delmar through 64, it's a slow go. Westbound 6440, a slow go. Kings Highway out through McCausland. A moderate volume pocket or two on either side of Lindbergh and Chesterfield Valley. Now 70 looks pretty good. There was some volume near 141, and that's kind of in both directions. Slows again at Wentzville, but that's the worst of it. Boy, this is not bad. Now there was a stall southbound 55 approaching Bates in the construction zone. Watch for that on the right side. But south of there, things look fine. And if you're headed into Illinois, we look fine on the bridges downtown. 64 eastbound, though, a little slow, headed for 159. And then things look okay. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
If you've never been to Innsbruck before, let me inspire you. They like to say where every day is the weekend. It's amazing out there, and it's close to St. Louis. That's one of the big advantages. You don't have to worry about the Lake of the Ozarks traffic, and you have a community that is just about an hour from St. Louis. I know when I head out there with the family, I can leave downtown here at the station and be there within about an hour. By the way, one recommendation, get a golf cart, rent a golf cart, because it's a lot of fun. You can only drive like 15 miles an hour out there anyway. But if you've never experienced Innsbruck, a way to kind of literally dip your feet into the water is to do a rental for a week or for a weekend. And the fall is a beautiful time. So if you think you don't have time to do that this summer, make a reservation for the fall. It's beautiful. All kinds of lakes, fishing, hiking. I usually get the dog-friendly property. But if you want to live out there, they have options for you as well. You can build a home. They have tree houses that are just, it doesn't even do it justice to say tree houses because they're so amazing. Innsbruck also has a beautiful golf course. You can do everything on site and have a lot of fun for a staycation or to live out there or to have a weekend place. Innsbruck-resort.com. That's Innsbruck-resort.com.
Hi, this is Steve Butts with the Crawford Butts Insurance Agency. I know we're all experiencing sticker shock when you get your insurance premium. Now more than ever, you need an independent insurance agent to find the best value for your family's insurance needs. Crawford Butts, family owned and operated for more than 60 years. Please give us a call at 314-752-2500 or at crawfordbutts.com.
Mark Cox here. Join me, Annie Fry, and Mark Reardon, along with Bob and Tammy Kershaw of the Retirement Advisory Group for the next Protecting Your Retirement educational event. It's Tuesday, August 5th at the Frontenac Hilton at 6:30. Here are Bob and Tammy with more.
Are you nearing retirement or already retired? Do you have your personalized income plan in place? Would you like to learn why linking to the market is much safer than owning the market, and how in 39 years we have never lost a penny of our clients' money?
Would you like to learn how to automatically lock in your market gains every year without having to sell? Did you also know if you're 59 and a half or older, you can roll over your company retirement plan tax-free to protect your nest egg from any future losses? You'll get all the answers and more. If you're 59 and a half or older, you cannot afford to miss this event.
Protect your retirement nest egg and join the official financial advisors of my show, Bob and Tammy Kershaw, at the Frontenac Hilton, Tuesday, August 5th at 6:30. Go to retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
That baby's gone!
Cardinals fans, FanDuel Sports Network is your home of the Cardinals.
That ball was mashed.
And there are more ways to watch this season.
Holy cow!
Subscribe directly to FanDuel Sports Network to stream the Cardinals without blackouts.
How about that play?
Or watch through a TV provider.
Incredible!
Including DirecTV, Spectrum, Xfinity, Fubo, and more.
He got it!
Learn more at cardinals.com/TV.
Ball game! That couldn't have worked out any better for the Cardinals.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
The time is 5:31. This time check, as always, sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
Real talk, today's issues. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
When I say that I really, really, really like Newsbusters, I really, really, truly mean it. Joining us now is the executive editor for the Media Research Center's Newsbusters, Tim Graham. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
I think you guys are doing fantastic work. I think it's important work. I think it's a very easy way to see the data, and you can come to, I think, the correct conclusion that a lot of these major news networks purposely make a decision to omit very important things. They all do it. There's editorial bias that goes on consistently. And when you see the numbers, to me, I think, man, before there was the internet, I know there was a little bit more integrity when it came to news, but imagine if there wasn't other options and this was the only option you had for news, what would we be stuck with? So I think it's really important, especially for freedom, what you're doing. So I just wanted to thank you for that.
Oh, thank you very much.
Let's go to Tulsi Gabbard and the idea that she's going to pass along this information and it could further investigation into the Russian probe and those involved who said what. I mean, we could even talk perhaps some people, the crime of perjury based on what they knew and what they said publicly or said under oath. And this is a pretty big deal because these are pretty big revelations. What you found is that the networks are not only downplaying, but a lot of times either ignoring the significance of this story.
Right. So we had this occasion where the director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, who was a Democrat, now she works for Trump, came into the White House and basically laid out the documents and said what it shows was that President Obama very clearly manufactured an intelligence product to try to line up with this narrative that Donald Trump was somehow a tool of the Russians. And we all know that networks loved this theory and did everything they could to spread it. So we measured in the 2 years from 2017 to early 2019, while this Mueller probe was going on, there were 2,284 minutes on the ABC, CBS, and NBC evening newscast for 30-minute shows. That's a lot of minutes.
It's a dominant story. It was a more dominant story than the things that President Trump was actually doing. And so now we get to the situation. She comes out with these documents, and people in the office go, well, surely they have to cover it. And I'm like, I hate to be the pessimist, but they do not have to cover it. So CBS gave it 41 seconds. ABC did nothing. NBC did nothing. Now, in the days to come, now they've done tiny bits here and there, mostly on their Sunday programs. We've seen this now for the last 2 Sundays, that when this document dump comes forward, they all say, well, there's no evidence of anything that makes Obama look bad, which of course is false. You know, whenever these people start saying the words no evidence, you know that there's evidence and they don't like it.
You know what I find too is when they bring it up, they find a way to bring it back as a way to degrade Donald Trump. So if they do bring something like this up, they'll give equal time to say, oh, the only reason these false documents are coming out right now is because they're trying to hide away from the Epstein controversy. Then they'll, probably talked about the Epstein controversy at the start of the program. Then they'll go back to it for a second revision and spend more time on it than actually talking about what Tulsi Gabbard did that day.
Yeah, I mean, the 41 seconds CBS did came at the tail end of an Epstein story, but they are clearly enthralled with this story because the Republicans or the conservatives are fighting each other, and that's what really makes them excited. If there's some sort of internal warfare among Democrats, they don't want anybody to know. They're going to be like, take it into the back room, pal. We don't need to talk about this in public. When it happens with Republicans and conservatives, it leads the newscast because they're so excited.
Right. Well, I mean, you guys do a lot of viewing of newscasts. And I'm probably guessing you uncover a lot of different things on a consistent basis. Are things getting better in recent years? Are things getting worse? Are they consistently bad? Have you found that just the fact that Donald Trump is president of the United States is enough for them to completely throw out their journalistic integrity?
Sure. I mean, look, this whole historical pattern doesn't start with Trump. In my telling, it really starts with Barack Obama in terms of the public, the public opinion of the press going down, because they just basically worshiped Barack Obama. And then when they came at Trump in the entirely different direction, that he was basically Satan or Hitler, people were like, well, wait a minute, these are not people telling me facts. These are people pushing a spin that basically suggests that if I like Trump, I don't like people of color, and maybe I'm a neo-Nazi. I mean, and nobody's going to accept that. And this is the problem, is that the news product feels like it's smearing conservatives and Republicans and just absolutely glorifies Democrats. And so that's where people are like, okay, I've seen enough of this. I don't need to watch this on a regular basis. And, the numbers for network news are down. The numbers for cable news are down. We're in a situation now with television where about half of the television viewing is on streaming channels. Broadcast and cable combined, this is Nielsen numbers from May, broadcast and cable combined were about 44%, and the streaming was 48% or something. So, yeah, the broadcast and cable share of TV watchers is on the way down. And that may be one reason why they'd say, we unloaded all this bias. How did Trump still win in 2024? Well, there's a lot of tune out.
What do you think is going to happen with the cuts to PBS, NPR? Do you think that's going to have an impact on news coverage in general?
Well, Donald Trump was elected, and they could see the writing on the wall that Trump was going to push for defunding. And they could have said, well, gosh, we better try to be more fair and balanced. And they've done nothing like that at all. They have just, if anything, been as hostile or more hostile. And I think that they're cocky. I think, we have now defunded them through this rescission process. They're going to come back in the fall and try to get put back into the budget. That's just what they do. They're not going to give up. So, we're going to just keep on this and keep pushing and keep telling everyone NPR and PBS are unnecessary because we already have MSNBC. We already have ABC, CBS, and NBC. The idea that we don't have other television networks or other radio channels is absurd.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And on top of that, I look at it as a competitor. So why are they able to collect government money to, staff and overstaff their operations when we actually produce, I think, a lot more news and entertainment and value for the public than an NPR station ever could, and for a lot less people. If we could do it, I'm sure they can. If they want to keep begging for the tote bag money or whatever, do it the way that they want to. If they want to stay a nonprofit that way.
Yeah, I mean, my father, his whole career was at the radio station in our hometown, little county seat, 4,000 people, and he always resented the NPR station, kind of stealing listeners, and the nicest equipment you're going to see in a studio is going to be in a public TV station or a public radio station. They've got state-of-the-art technology. It's part of the federal funding. And so, it's absolutely competing. But, the NPR product is this incessant left-wing bias. And, they came around and they were like, well, you need the NPR stations for the local news. You can go into a lot of these stations, look at their daily programming schedule, and it's like 22 hours of national propaganda. And there's 15 minutes over here for local news.
Yep. Let me ask you about News Nation. Have you had much time to look at them as a news agency or at least a channel? And do you have any impressions of them?
Yeah, I mean, I think that they have attempted to try to do that fair and balanced formula. I think they achieve that. We don't have a lot of negative things to say. They don't have a lot of viewers. I mean, they are below Newsmax, for example. Right. Of course, Fox Business is also below Newsmax. And so the other day when I was making a point about how the networks didn't want to cover how the House Oversight Committee is investigating they're hiding Biden's decline. They have dragged all of these Biden White House officials in to testify. A number of them have taken the fifth. Biden's doctor took the fifth. And the networks won't cover it. And then I was like, well, here's News Nation's doing it. Here's the story. They did 3 minutes on it. They explained what it was. They had the Republican take. They had the Democrat take. Here, see? It's doable. You just don't wanna.
I want to look too at the late night talk shows because I don't know how much time you look at that, but you had the Jimmy Kimmels, Jimmy Fallon, and the latest one where why can't I think of his name right now on CBS that just got fired coming up next
Colbert.
Year. Yeah, Colbert. So Jay Leno came out and said, okay, you already have this audience that is dwindling, and then you cut it in half when you start making it super political. So it stops being funny at some point when it becomes super political. So you're just fragmenting your audience even further. Jay Leno make a pretty good point there.
Yes, and our analyst Alex Christie watches these late night comedy shows every night. He has a little spreadsheet. He counts the jokes. He counts the guests. And yes, I mean, Colbert Show, we kind of made this point multiple times. Colbert Show is just loaded with Democratic politicians. There are no Republicans. Nobody expects that. But it's like, do you really want to say, well, before I go to bed at night, Bernie Sanders, that's just going to, make my night, but that's what you get. Elizabeth Warren, oh my goodness, I couldn't, So, I mean, it really sometimes sounds more like the DNC nightly show. Or something, maybe Colbert should just take it over to MSNBC. It looks like just another MSNBC show.
I don't know if they can afford him. Probably CNN. They're good at wasting money. If they want to waste money, CNN is where to go because of their lucrative cable deals that have been grandfathered in. But let's say the DNC, they're so upset about this, they make it look like, it's a big freedom of speech issue. But I think what they're really upset is that they're going to lose their free airtime where they send all their surrogates. They just have one less venue to reach people.
That's absolutely true. They're very turf conscious. They get very upset when somebody takes away a piece of their turf. This is why they really do feel like they deserve federal funding for PBS and NPR, because that's our turf, and we want to give more money to our turf. They're very territorial. So yes, when CBS announces that they're not going to have a late night show anymore, it would have seemed more political if they'd said, no, Colbert's gone and we're going to bring in some non-political comic. That would have looked more political than just, we're not going to run a late night show anymore because it's too darn expensive.
Well, yeah, you're losing $40 million a year. They got to put up with that year after year after year. I mean, you can make more money with the slap chop commercials or whatever in that time frame if you really wanted to. And who knows, maybe the local affiliates, the news stations that are, airing their news, they might actually get a bump here or an opportunity to expand their coverage. That would be good for them. Locally speaking, you'd be creating more news on the local networks.
Yeah, I mean, again, I have a brother that works on the local news in Milwaukee, and what's always mystifying about these people, again, is that they come and they say, oh, we won't have local news without the NPR or the PBS. It's like all of these cities where they claim there's a news desert. It's like not in Milwaukee, not in St. Louis, not in Minneapolis. It's really funny the way that they do that. And of course, in some of these smaller towns, for example, the station in my neck of the woods where I grew up was La Crosse, Wisconsin. Well, the local news people in the public radio station aren't coming down to my town to do local news. That's not what they did. So that whole news deserts argument is lame.
All right. Well, if people wanted to see some of your work and what you're doing at the Media Research Center, where can they go?
Yeah, thanks. We're at newsbusters.org. Got our Facebook and X pages that you can keep track of what we're up to.
Perfect. Tim Graham, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
You bet.
Executive Director for the Media Research Center's Newsbusters, and I truly, truly, truly love Newsbusters. All right, we're going to do the audio cut of the day coming up after the break. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Mark Reardon, 97.1 FM Talk.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We've got a jam on westbound 44 past 141. There is an accident reported out west there. It looks like it's before Antire, and it's created a solid parking lot jam back to 141. Now, if you're westbound on 64, just some moderate volume at Clayton Skinker. Eastbound is slowing at Big Bend, and then westbound opens up. In fact, westbound 70 looks great out of downtown. There's periodically some volume at Cave Springs, but not much. 55 looks good, and if you're headed into Illinois, things look great on the bridges downtown. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
The Mark Cox Morning Show.
Can you remember the last time we had a president in the Oval Office who worked so hard every day to bring wins to the American people?
Weekdays from 5 to 9, St. Louis Conservative.
I think most people are not in a situation where they're hanging with friends at the pool or, a party or something, and they say, hey, do you have a good divorce attorney to recommend? It's just not something that comes up. People are not comfortable. It's a very private deal, but that's why I'm here for you to recommend Susan L. Ward. You've probably heard her on the show. She's got a fantastic personality. Outside of that, she's got a lot of experience in this particular field, which is a very tricky field of the law. And they get calls all the time from people who probably wait a little too long to reach out to an attorney, and that may come back to haunt you. If you need help, call Susan right away. Contact her. I'll give you the website. There's a form that's confidential that you can fill out. Domestic partnerships, domestic violence, protective orders, all of that and more Susan can handle, and expertly at that. Susan L. Ward, stlfamilylaw.com. The focus on family law, the emphasis on you. I think you're going to like her a lot if you have to need her help, and it's a tough area of the law. But get with Susan today at stlfamilylaw.com.
Attention St. Louis Medicaid residents in need of care at home. If you need assistance with daily activities, you can receive in-home care from a loved one that lives with you, and they get paid. Through Medicaid, Freedom Care allows you to choose who provides your care at home in St. Louis, and they get paid weekly. Available to eligible Medicaid members in St. Louis. Call now to check your eligibility. It can be your daughter, son, a close relative, or trusted friend helping you with cooking, transportation, laundry, and other activities in your own home. You get the help you need, and your caregiver gets paid. Freedom Care has over 7,000 five-star Google reviews and is a leading choice in St. Louis for in-home care. If you have Medicaid and want to receive great care from a loved one, go to freedomcare.com, or for faster service, call 314-597-1749. 314-597-1749. That's 314-597-1749.
Freedom Care, we're here for you.
Is your home, business, or church looking tired, chalky, or in need of curb appeal? Go Rhino. Tired of painting year after year? Go Rhino. Our unique 3M ceramic technology is perfect for brick, stucco, aluminum, steel, color lock masonite, and more. It's backed by our 25-year transferable warranty to not chip, crack, or peel. Great if you're staying, and even better if you're selling. Our ceramic coating allows you to maintain all of your architectural features. The decision to do vinyl will leave your home looking like a plastic moldy box. With Rhino Shield, in 15 years, your home will still have that, wow, it looks like you just got it painted. We've done large condo complexes, parking garages, pole barns, and commercial strip malls. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. Evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't vinyl, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Are you looking to hire? ZipRecruiter finds the best candidate for your job fast. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Your voice, your values. 97.1 FM Talk. St. Louis Conservative.
And I'm Ryan Recker. If you want to find me online at Ryan Recker, it's fun when I get a chance to fill in for Mark. Always fun when I get to opportunity to do that. And, you know, I would say as a producer today, Ethan, you were very nice to me. You didn't really yell at me much. That was very nice of you. I got to say, you're in a good mood today. I like seeing that side of you.
Thank you, I think.
Yeah, I don't know how I respond to that.
I'm not sure how to take that.
Yeah, but
yesterday it was putting up with your BS, and today it's thank you for your mercy. I don't know how to read you, Ryan Recker.
I would say, was that the tone yesterday? Trying to put up with you, or you putting up with me? I thought was the tone.
It was that was the tone yesterday. Yeah. That totally was the tone because it was every other segment I was getting called a lobster or something, or you wanted to see my burns.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty harsh stuff
Tough
from Ryan Recker yesterday.
Yeah, Sue, I don't know how red he looks in person, but he made it sound like yesterday was cherry tomato. I don't know if
he's
it's
better
any worse.
today. He's faded a bit.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
On my face. Shoulders are still feeling it.
Is that right? It's constantly hot on the shoulders. That's the price you pay for having fun when you're young, I guess, Ethan. You'll have to learn that lesson the hard way.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Recker.
Let's do the audio cut of the day.
Stand by. Playback ready.
Now, the audio cut of the day.
Well, Jay Leno making some headlines and basically saying in an interview, one of the problems that these late night TV comedians have is they've become too politicized and they're losing half of their viewing audience. Now, they did mention this interview that they sat down with Leno happened before the announcement that they were going to cancel The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. They said it was just coincidence that happened between the time the Variety article came out and when he said this. Let's play clip number 8.
To me, I like to think that people come to a comedy show to kind of get away from the things, the pressures of life, wherever it might be. And I love political humor, don't get me wrong, but it's just what happens was people wind up cozying too much to one side or the other. I mean, I like to bring people into the big picture. I don't understand why you would alienate one particular group, or just don't do it at all. I'm not saying you have to throw your support or whatever, but just do what's funny.
Just do what's funny. I think that's what comedians should do. If you're in a position or on a network and you have that type of late night TV show, you should be guided with what is funny. And that's one of the reasons so many people tuned out for Saturday Night Live. And for the longest time, the comedians would come out and they would do things that would be controversial or sometimes touching the edge or going past that line, but they did it for the sake of being funny. They weren't trying to be, we're going to really hone in on one political party with this type of message. But Saturday Night Live went into that direction and just became less funny. And once they crossed that point of no return, they lost so many different viewers. I don't think there's many people that are saying, I can't wait for the late night shows to come back and give down the middle type of comedy, because you lost them. They're gone forever. You drove them so far away. They found alternatives and they're never coming back to you. That's how bad of a job you did, Stephen Colbert. And that's why the network probably pulled the plug on the entire show, not just you as the host. All right. At Ryan Recker on Twitter, Ryan Recker Radio on Facebook, if you want to find me on there. It was so fun working with you guys again today. You're listening to the Mark Reardon Show, 97.1 FM Talk.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We are thinning out nicely on the roads. There's one major exception, and that is an accident westbound 44 approaching Antire, and it's got the left lane blocked. We've got a jam that goes back to 141. Also some volume southbound 170 at 6440, and eastbound 40 is slow on either side of 170. If you're headed into Illinois, we look great on the bridges downtown and really on the Illinois side in general. So not bad right now. This report is brought to you by Point Within E Pest Control. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Point Pest Control is reminding you it's time to spray for mosquitoes. How can something that tiny interrupt your outside gatherings? Have Point Pest Control spray today so